bound only by frozen memories. Lost in time, racing on these broken dreams tonight.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Haste Overwatch Finals. I am Storm, and joining me for today's matches is Hurix. How are you doing today, man?
Good as always, man. Really excited. We had a pretty great start already to the day in Overwatch. A lot of cool matches going on and stuff, and hoping to cap it off today with Haste Finals, man. Really excited.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting. I think a lot of people probably don't know what the Haste Finals are because all the qualifiers throughout January weren't even streamed. There were 4 qualifiers in which the top 2 teams would actually qualify for the main event here today, in which they're fighting for a $600 prize pool, $450 to first, $150 to second place. The rest, they're not going home with anything, so a lot on the line to just get that first and second place spot today. But the teams participating are going to be from the first qualifier, Hammers Esports, who were Bird Noises at the time. A lot of you probably familiar with who those guys are right now. Spicy Boys actually just dropped out the other day. And they are being replaced by the new Tempo Storm roster, which actually consists of 2 guys from Spicy Boys, Dreamcasper and Spo, who are now on that team with JKW, Wolf, Sleepy, and Hui. So they are going to be residing in that second spot. From the second qualifier, we had Gale Force and Method, and third would be Nameless and Envision, and the fourth one was Doot Doot and CLG. So a lot of familiar teams in the tournament today, but of course we're going to be bringing you guys Gale Force and Tempo Storm up in our first match here on stream. We are going to be doing 1 round of 8 match, both semifinals and the finals here. So what are your thoughts on this first matchup, Hurix? This is going to be quite the interesting one, given the roster changes here.
Right. I think the big thing on everybody's mind right now is the roster changes, especially over on Tempo Storm, as we talked about. You know, they're going to be replacing what the team that was going to be there, which was Spicy Boys. But again, 2 members of Spicy Boys are on this roster now. And Tempo Storm is one of those teams that has had its little bit of ups and downs in terms of trying to get people or get the right roster going and everything. And it seems like they've settled on this one for now. And a lot of standouts with this roster. I mean, of course, you have Spo and Dreamcasper, as we've already mentioned, but you also have guys like JKW from Complexity who are on this roster right now, as well as Wolf, who is a guy ever since his time over on NG Red, hasn't really settled into a roster. He's been kind of bouncing around, being kind of like a stand-in, doing a lot of trials. He played a little bit with Team Solo Mitt as well. So he's been bouncing around a little bit. Overall, really, really strong DPS. And honestly, it's been a little bit of a surprise that he hasn't jumped onto a roster already. But now seeing him on Tempo Storm, maybe this is the right place for all these guys at this point.
That's certainly true. I think it's really, really interesting given how well Spicy Boys were actually doing. I mean, before or after Hammers Esports got signed and after Kungarna went to Ghost Gaming, to be honest, they were easily the best unsigned team honestly, I want to say in the game at that point. It's really unfortunate that, I guess unfortunate for the team as a whole that Dreamcaster and Spo went over to Tempo Storm, but I'm pretty sure that roster doesn't have decop anymore with them, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm pretty sure it's just 3 of those guys, and they are trialing new people, but of course they weren't going to be able to get 3 new people for a roster for this weekend. So I think this new Tempo Storm roster, I think it's going to be pretty impressive. I mean, it's been quite some time since we've seen Tempo Storm. I think the last time they played in the tournament was actually the Rivalcade series back in early January, in which I think they actually lost to...
Yeah, I think it's been about a month, right?
Yeah, and even before then, it had been a long time since they had been in action. So, of course, a lot of different people on the roster now, not even close to what it was before. But I think the additions of Dreamcasper and Spo, coming from, what they did on Spicy Boys, I think that's a big step up for Tempo Storm, and I think they're going to impress here. Honestly, this could be one of the closest matches here today.
And they're not the only roster that's like this too. They're not the only roster that we haven't seen a lot of in the past. I mean, another roster that's been kind of off and on is Method as well, and they're in this tournament, and they're perhaps a team to look at as well. But I think, like, I kind of agree with you. Gale Force versus Tempo Storm is one of the matchups that I think I'm looking forward to the most. Gale Force, of course, trying to make a name for themselves as, a top team in North America, so they can start positioning themselves among the rest of those top names. Going to all these major tournaments and everything. They really have a stellar lineup going for them. I remember the last time we cast Gale Force, they really kind of showed up in a big way. They really impressed, and I'm looking for them to continue that. But this new Tempo Storm roster is actually looking really solid, and the more I look at it, the more impressive I think it actually is. And that's why I really like this matchup, because it's basically just going to be which team is going to make that statement as basically a team that could potentially just go straight to the finals and be able to take this one. I mean, it could be very much determined by this game right here.
Okay, well, we are down to our final 5 maps. It looks like Volskaya and Ilios, kind of the question marks here if either of those will make it into the mix. I really doubt it, though, as Gale Force is going to be getting... Is it timing out for him? I'm not quite sure, as it looks like... looks like it is going to time out. It's still at 0 for me. I'm not quite sure. There it goes. Ilios games are... Okay, just a little slow for me. Just a little slow. Dorado, Hollywood, and Volskaya still in the mix, Urix. That's going to be interesting.
Volskaya is one that I almost never... I mean, you might expect once in a while, like an Anubis to pop in, or like an Eichenwald or something like that.
It looks like it actually is timing out for the guys. So OW Draft is bugging for a little bit. Half the maps... They just now tell me that half the maps are actually not being picked by them. They just now tell me. It looks like we might have to redo this, and we'll see if we might actually have to do it in the game chat. Hopefully not. We've had to do that in the past when OW Draft has been bugging out for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a new one made, and apparently we're also having some stream flickering issues. I'm not having any issues on my side. No drop frames.
Yeah, I've been watching it as well. I'm watching it on Source right now, and it doesn't look bad at all to me. But
all right,
we'll monitor it and everything just to make sure everything's visible for you guys. But in the meantime, while we're getting these teams sorted with the new Overwatch draft, because we want to get this sorted as well. If this doesn't work out, sometimes this little tool can be a little buggy and stuff. So if it doesn't wind up working this next time around, we're going to go ahead and just do it by hand, which we have done in the past. Not a big deal. It just won't be as nice in terms of your ability to spectate it. But nonetheless, we will get this map draft sorted so we can get into the games. That's the big thing.
All right, it looks like we have sent out the other link, so hopefully we can get this underway. Reminder, guys, we do have 4 series coming your way, and the winner of this gets to take on Nameless or CLG in the semifinals. Just looking kind of up the bracket, exclamation point bracket in the Twitch chat, guys, if you do want to take a look at what we've got going on there. And okay, so hopefully this draft works. And hopefully we get to see what these guys actually want to ban. And hopefully it stops flickering. It looks like it's flickering to some people. Yeah, I've got no issues on my end. No drop frames or anything.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything either.
So that's a little interesting. Maybe try to refresh, guys. Maybe it'll stop once the game gets going. Couldn't really tell you. Turn it on source. Yeah, turn it on source. Seriously, my quality is very high, extremely high. So you should be able to watch it on source, hopefully. Anyhow, take a look at some bans. Nothing too crazy, but I want to ask you, just looking at these rosters, What do you think? And I mean, it's a little early to, obviously we haven't really seen the teams play, but just looking and knowing who these guys are, what are you thinking about, a prediction for this best of three series?
That's tough because I don't really know how well Tempo Storm are going to play together. I mean, I know for a fact that they have a really fantastic roster, but it really comes down to how they're going to play together and how they're going to perform. We already know Gale Force is a team that's capable of performing very well. There has been talks about Calvin being kind of off and on a little bit, but he is going to be here today, as far as I'm aware. So having a guy like that on their roster is a real big standout for me personally. So, I mean, at this stage, I would say I would be giving a little bit of favor towards Gale Force, but I think this new Tempo Stone roster is going to be impressive. So it really comes down to how well they play together, what are their strats like, what's their level of coordination like between the team. I mean, a lot of these guys have played on top level teams. All of them have played on top level teams. So I don't think it's going to take long for them to mesh. It's just going to be how that's going to compare. What they've been able to accomplish so far is going to compare to what Gale Force has been working on for so long now.
Okay, well, taking a look at the maps that we've got, pretty standard, except Volskaya is still in the mix. There goes Route 66. So I think these are the exact same 5 maps we had before here. When we came down to it, I'm expecting there's Volskaya.
There's Volskaya
Not
out.
expecting Ilios to actually stay, and that's going to be that one. So it's going to be a pretty standard map draft with Dorado, Hollywood, and Kings Row. Remember, guys, this is a best of 3. Lose, and you are out. And only the top 2 do get in the money. $600 prize pool, $450 to first, $150 to second. So we'll have to see what the draft is going to be. It's going to be Kings Row third, oddly enough here. And probably going to be heading, I'd assume, probably to Hollywood first. Either way, we'll be seeing both of these maps and getting underway in just a moment here.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting Kings Row and Dorado to be the first 2 maps, but it looks like we're going to be pushing Hollywood right on through. And that's a map that I actually haven't casted. I don't think we have casted in a little bit, together at least. And on this map, I would probably assume that we're going to be seeing a lot of precedence on trying to get that first point hold. Obviously, every team wants to do that, but I mean actually comping for it, actually putting in Symmetra, possibly even Torbjorn. We saw that earlier today in some of the other tournaments that have been going on. And I think that is a strat that actually works quite well on Hollywood. Honestly, kind of works pretty well on all the maps that they have, Dorado and Kings Row, both, of course, being the other 2 maps that I think really, really work with that concept. But nonetheless, we'll have to see if they actually wind up doing that. I think we're just waiting on Calvin right now from Gale Force to be able to start the game up.
Yep, just waiting on one guy inside of Gale Force, and we'll get this one underway, guys. For those of you just joining us, we've got a few matches headed your way today. This is the round of 8. We'll be casting both semifinals as well, and then, of course, the finals. And you can check out the brackets, exclamation point bracket in Twitch chat. We've got Hammers, Esports, Tempo, Gale Force, Method, Nameless, Envision, CLG, and Duke Duke in the mix today. So a lot of really solid competition. I think outside of this match, a question mark for me is how far either Nameless or CLG can go. They actually play each other, and the winner of that match takes on the winner between Gale Force and Tempo Storm. And Nameless actually has beat CLG time after time over the past month or so. But this past Thursday, a couple days ago, in the Good Gaming tournament, CLG actually beat Nameless for honestly, I want to say the first time in a while. So I feel like CLG are kind of on a roll right now. I think that's an interesting 7-2 matchup. We'll see who's going to come out on top in that. I believe also the other match is Method taking on Hammers, if I'm not mistaken, at the top. Method, not a team that's been performing too well as of late, and Hammers Esports, they're honestly, a lot of people have a big question mark over those guys as to the new meta and how they're really going to adapt. And I guess we'll get to see today that for the first time if they make it to the semifinal match, if they make it past Method. But it doesn't look like Calvin is playing today, Hurix.
Ooh.
Wow.
Okay, so they're bringing in AMS instead, and Mitcher going to be bringing in. So
That's
no Calvin, which is again something that has been kind of buzzing around a little bit with Calvin not going to be playing. They did say, I think initially yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, that Calvin might have been coming out, but that is not going to be the case. They're going to be using someone else here, which in my opinion is going to kind of hurt Gale Force. I mean, right now with Soldier just being so good and Calvin being so good at it that I don't know. I think it's going to hurt them a little bit, but ultimately they're still a very, very strong team. I think they can perform without Calvin, and I guess this is a really good opportunity for them to show that off.
All right, it's going to be Gale Force up on the defense first up with Tempo Storm having their shot at taking the payload the distance. And I don't know, this is one of the first tournaments we've done since the patch hitting. We've seen a little bit of it in some smaller ones, but good to see some bigger names here. And see what kind of differences we see from the past tournaments with some of these teams, especially Gale Force. I mean, Gale Force is a team we've seen kind of off and on in past tournaments. Doing really well, just kind of hanging down there, taking a couple week break, and really hoping to see what they have in store for us today. But on the defensive side, Mitcher potentially breaking out the Symmetra for these guys.
Turret in place.
And we do see Boink going back over after getting everybody situated with the Lucio, getting the speed boost out. He's going to switch over. AMS on the Soldier right now, and Mitcher said is on the Symmetra. So they are playing right now.
From light into being.
I think the Mercy is going to go back. Muma going to go over to the Reinhardt now. I believe his name was Mumanji before, wasn't it?
It was Mumanji. Muma was his... I always called him Muma, though. Might be his alt or something like that. But Muma's the name. Anyhow, on the offensive side, it looks like JKW going to be making the change over the Reinhardt. No Sombra, of course, coming out for those guys. Pretty standard comp from both teams, except Mitcher on that Symmetra. You do see a little bit of that on Hollywood. We'll have to see how it pans out. Got to get that ult charged up rather quickly, though.
And now defense set up in position, and we do see Mitcher not really actually getting a whole lot of charge going early on. A little bit of aggression coming from the offensive side here.
Wolf almost taken down there by that bottle grenade. Nice connect coming out from WGB. And both these teams, of course, they've had big roster changes as of late, so really don't know what to expect. Again, Wolf hit by that bottle grenade. WGB already up to about 50% almost on his ultimate. And Mitcher still sitting at 30. That's really rough on this side of Gale Force. You've got to get that, not even you could get the teleporter up at this point, but I mean, you're going to want to use that shield generator, of course, and they're looking to make their move in here. We'll have to see who's going to get the first charge. Nice hook from Ultima Wet, pulls up JKW, as it looks like Hui was able to get the shield projected back onto him. But the first kill on Namumba, that's a nice shot for these guys. You get rid of that Reinhardt and you can start to move in. Ultima Wet comes back with one of his own, though. It looks like Tempo Storm yet to really fully pull the trigger, but they've got the advantage. There's a nano boost onto JKW. Can he find any kills with it? Hit with the biotic grenade, though, and not able to find anything with that nano boost, unfortunately, for himself there.
Really just got to get JKW off the point now, and they do find that kill. Mitcher pushing everybody back after laying down that teleporter. So unfortunately for them, they're not going to have that shield generator, but that teleporter definitely was something that they needed to have to be able to regain control of the point and hold on to this one. Only one tick gained from the offensive side here. So we saw Tempo Storm forced to back up. 220 remaining to get those last two ticks and get control of the point.
That was about 2 minutes and 45 seconds there, Hurix. Or excuse me, 1 minute and 45 seconds. And they only managed to make one real push. It didn't look like they wanted to get too aggressive. There's a Graviton Surge coming out from Boink. Not a whole lot of follow-up, though. They don't really get anything off of it. Dreamcasper actually unloads there with his ultimate as the teleporter was taken down by Wolf. Got to keep that in mind while Boink is getting really aggressive here. He's fully charged up, trying to find something. Going to be hit with the biotic grenade. Going to finally be dropped there. Nice pickup coming out from WGB, and it looks like Gale Force might be able to hold on to this one, even without that teleporter at the ready.
Well, now Mitcher has an opportunity here to get that ultimate charge back up and perhaps put down a shield generator. I mean, only with a minute and a half remaining, it's not really going to have too much of an effect. I imagine we're likely going to see a teleporter again if it comes down to it, because that's what they're going to want primarily. However, he still needs to get that charged up pretty quickly if he wants to have any of either of those going into any of these fights here.
Oh, nice hook coming out there onto Muma. They've got the ultimates to work with. There's the Earthshatter completely blocked out, though, as it looked like that was just... oh, big time miss from Muma as JKW comes up with the shield at the very last millisecond. Honestly, they didn't even need any ultimates to be used aside from that attack visor. And even then, they were able to come up with big kills here. Tempo Storm going to be able to move forward and grab that first checkpoint.
I really like the way that Tempo Storm positions themselves when they go in for these attacks. On that first push, was actually probably the most impressive one. The way that we saw Dreamcasper moving in on that backside was basically an allowance for him to get those free hooks, because the problem is that by him going back there all by his lonesome, with the Reinhardt facing towards the rest of the team, they've exposed themselves to that Roadhog hook. If the Reinhardt tries to turn and try to engage that Roadhog, he exposes himself to the rest of the team.
Graviton Surge comes through there on the side of Hui, but it's not really even needed. Not able to connect onto a whole lot, but you know what? If you come up with those kills, doesn't seem to matter. I'm not sure. Ultima Wep maybe thought he was in a bad position to be able to get out of that, so just went ahead and got himself killed. I'm not so sure because a couple of his guys were just taken out beforehand. There's the, oh man, AMS just going to be dropped, is really not paying attention to what Dream Casper is doing coming up along the side here, and Gale Force are just struggling on the defensive side for the second checkpoint.
And once again, Tempo Storm just sliding that one flanker back around just to put some pressure on that backside, and that time it was Wolf really kind of putting in some work in on the backside. They're already putting pressure onto that shield. JKW just going to be sent in, and they're just going for an all-out assault here, trying to take all these kills initially, and they are just chugging along.
A much better nano boost coming out from Sleepy that time around. The first one wasn't the greatest, but he's also going to get that short spawn. So Tempo Storm, despite a rocky start, going to be able to turn it around, find that late kill on the Mitra as well. Going to allow for them to get through the garage door there, get around this first elbow more than likely. With 330 on the board, Tempo looking very strong here on the offensive side.
Setting up top with Dream Casper and Hui. They're already trying to put some damage into Ultimate Wep, but Hui actually gets sent down below, forced rather to go down below, as Boink actually picks that kill as well, and WGB actually going to get eliminated by the Helix rocket sent out from Wolf. They're basically kind of at a standstill right now. They want to wait for the rest of their team. Wolf just going to pressure that shield down a little bit, so they have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to that shield war later
Boink.
down the line.
Graviton Surge from Boink, and it actually looks like, oh, can he finish him off? They do have follow-up there with the Whole Hog from Ultima Wep, who finds 2 kills for himself. It looks like Boink was kind of caught on the corner, not able to get out of that, but still good heals coming through from WGB, keeps him up, buys himself a little bit more time on that defensive side, and they still have about 3, almost 4 ultimates to work with here.
Really kind of come down to AMS just holding this top side, preventing that hard flank on the top balcony there. That Wolf is trying to accomplish. Sleepy and Wolf both with that ultimate combination of Nano.
Here it goes.
And now AMS gonna drop it on his own.
He actually only able to find nothing, actually. It looked like he was about to get 1 kill there, but there's the Nano Visor coming out from Wolf. Can he get anything? Finds one with Helix onto Muma in the end. So both of those Nano Visors really not getting a lot done for either team, and in the end, Spo's the first to drop. Wolf looking to finish off AMS. Can he find the kill? He's going to be forced to back off of this one. And Gale Force going to be able to survive just a little bit longer, but still, Tempo Storm moving forward. Another whipped Earth Shatter from Muma, unfortunately. Sound Barrier comes through from both teams. There's the Graviton Surge out from Hui. They pick up 2 kills from it, Hurex, and they still have that ultimate to work with from JKW. And they should be able to get very close to the payload. This is going to be a staggered push, or staggered respawn, rather, coming out from the defensive side. I'm not sure if they're able to get here, as Boink's going to try to. Not even close here. It says Tempo Storm, 130 on the clock. Looking so solid here.
Both teams kind of starting that last fight out with, I mean, the first one from AMS was definitely a mistake. I mean, that just didn't work out the way that they wanted to. They didn't have the vision that they thought they had from that top side when he was coming down with the Nano Visor, so he didn't wind up getting any kills, didn't really put out a lot of pressure either, and of course Wolf putting out his own, only got 1 kill, but it set them up. That's the main thing, is that it set them up to allow for that Graviton to come out, really kind of take advantage of those 2 kills, and that just opened it up with the fact that Muma wound up missing
2 big ults, man.
Really pivotal Earth Shatter at the end. Really pivotal one, and he was wound up whiffing that one, which is really unfortunate because that just completely opened it up. WGB fell very shortly after, and they were able to just basically waltz right in. And that's not a spot that you want anybody to waltz right in on, because that's a very, honestly, pretty nice point to stagger out on.
Uh-oh. It's doing it again, Hurex. It's doing the name change. For some reason, it's sticking with the names. I'm not sure why this happens. There's no setting that I'm missing. So, Tempo Storm is on the red, guys, and Gale Force is on the blue, despite the tags that are shown right now. We've had this issue in the past, unfortunately. But, going back to that point on that big missed Earth Shatter from Muma, he had another one on that first checkpoint that was just completely whiffed, and off of both of those, team wipes have come through because they saw an advantage. They saw, hey, Earth Shatter's down, we can move in off of this, we have the Sound Barrier ready, and they just tore him to bits. Didn't even give him a chance to try to stagger that hold with the respawn there, but Tempo Storm looking poised to be able to take this.
This should actually be a nice push coming out here actually from Gale Force. I mean, with the composition, really kind of favors them at the moment.
Look at this
Ultimate
comp,
Web
dude.
should be able to really
Look at-
put some hurt in on a lot of the DPS.
What is this? We've got a Junkrat, a Torbjorn, and a Symmetra coming out from these guys. This is going to be very interesting. I'm not sure. Tempo Storm must know something. We'll see how it pans out for him. What do you make of this right away?
I make the Ultimate Web should just eat them alive. I mean, honestly, he should really just eat them alive.
Well, there's one kill in the bag, and they lose to 76, and going to be forced back out. That's about 45 seconds now, just wasted. And Ultimate Web looking for Sleepy up top. Actually gets hit there. And this is going to be interesting. Like you said, I think he should be able to eat him up, especially Hui and Dreamcast. We'll have to see what happens with it, though. That's the real question. If Wolf can take care of him, that's going to be big.
Already a lot of pressure going out. AMS dying again here pretty early on. Still, not a lot of pressure coming out from Ultima Web at the moment. He's not really landing some of these direct rockets that I would have kind of expected him to, and that spam comp actually kind of working out for Tempo Storm at the moment.
This is bizarre. They've got the Riptire ready to go. Riptire, of course, not a great ultimate by any means, but if you can find a pick or two with it, gives you a lot of time. There's the Riptire, where he's going to go back around. Coming back into it. Can he find anything? Finds Ultima Web, who is actually nano boosted and looking for the kill onto Hui in the back, but came back around, found that one for himself, and it looks like the defense should be able to hold on here as Wolf is making his way back to the point. Sleepy's still ready to go with his ultimate. Spo yet to get his. Surprisingly enough, he should have it in just a second and probably going to drop that teleporter down.
I just find it so odd that this spam comp is just working so well right now. I mean, honestly, they could probably just put a Mercy up and just completely keep Ultima Web just grinding away on these guys if they really wanted to, but it seems like they're just trying to go all out ground war with them, and Wolf is finding yet another kill here on its AMS, and he's actually just kind of fragging out right now, finding 3 kills inside of the Nano Visor. JKW finding another, and they are sending them packing once again.
This is unbelievable, as Gale Force can't seem to get around Tempo Storm's bizarre composition here. And they do have a teleporter down. You got to remember that. We'll have to see if they're able to find it. With 1:30 on the clock, I mean, you have to. You can't afford not to find that. And if you drop a guy, you're basically forced to look for a staggered respawn with maybe one final push. So this is going to be huge for these guys. A huge Earth Shatter in the back line, though, coming out from JKW. They follow up with a few more as Wolf, Dreamcasper find it. Ultima Web actually kills himself, unfortunately. And again, Tempo Storm hold on strong.
This is actually just such great positioning from JKW across the board. He has really been having a handle on Muma pretty much all game so far at the moment, at least. And Hui, look at this positioning. Oh, this isn't good. Ultima Web is going to find that kill finally there, and now they're going to have an opportunity to open this one up 6v5. Spo pretty low there for a second, but does have that teleporter up, so Hui should be able to get back rather quickly, but they're already on the point now as they're getting aggressive.
A whiff charge coming out there. Nano Boost as well. Nano Boost coming out onto AMS. Can he get anything with the Nano Visor? Looking for one. Able to find it with the help of Ultima Web with the barrage in the skies. The real question is, can they find this teleporter? Because they're coming back rather quickly here. They are very close to getting this point in their favor here. Wolf coming out there. Gets put to sleep. Woken back up with the Graviton Surge, though. Finds 2 kills, trying to turn this fight back around in their favor. He's finally going to be dropped there by Boink. Boink picking up another kill onto Sleepy. I'm not sure if they have any charges left on the teleporter is the real question, but it looks like Tempo Storm are going to be able to hold on to this somehow after a big play from AMS and Ultima Web. They're going to be able to turn this one back around, and now only 5 seconds on the clock here. Can they get to the point in time? It looks like Ultima Web's able to get onto this one. Can they find any kills? Muma, ready to go with the Earth Shatter. Gonna look for something big here. A big kill coming out there onto JKW, though. He's gonna look to find something with the Earth Shatter. He's got to get something big this time. Finds 2 in the backline. Fire Strike finishes off Spo. There's the charge. Finds another for himself. Wolf gonna be able to get the kill onto him, though. It's a 1-on-2 on the point, 1-on-3 rather. And Wolf gonna be taken down. It looks like Gale Force are gonna be able to come up with the first checkpoint here, X.
I think it was kind of a mistake. I mean, Dreamcasper was in such a good position there to actually just jump over onto Boink, who was kind of isolated a little bit into that lights room in the back, and they would have been able to find that kill. No Zarya, no shield, no first no like frontline support that was going to be there. So they already found the kill on WGB. He was basically out of that one. If they would have had the elimination on the Zarya, they should have been fine there. But nonetheless, give up that first point. Overall, a really, really solid hold. Now they're having an opportunity to jump up onto the high ground here, and they should be able to just jump down on top of them and really have a good fight here. Dreamcasper really needs to get some ultimate charge rather quickly, as that High Noon has a lot of efficacy in this stage of the map.
Sound barrier coming out there from Mitcher. Shatter hits a few, even though he was booped up in the air right there. Charge gonna knock both Reinhardts down. The ultimate weapon comes in from behind. There's the Graviton Surge Pulse Bomb, only able to connect onto Hui. Doesn't matter if you pick up the kill with the Pulse Bomb. That's all that seems to really get the job. You know, if it gets the job done, that's what counts, Yerks. And they had a limited time to get to this next checkpoint. So Gale Force really needs to be racking up these kills quickly. But Sleepy and Dreamcasper come back with another and actually force Ultima Web all the way back.
Casper, man, just coming up as the one-man army pushing back the DPS there. Tempo Storm, or rather of Gale Force. Apologies, but nonetheless, he is getting pretty close now, 99% on that charge. Should be able to zone out the enemy team when they push up next, but he is going to have to deal with that Winston there a little bit, and that Winston is going to probably become a little bit of an issue as he could jump on top of him, so Casper's going to have to be kind of cognizant of that. A nice flash onto Muma there is going to open things up. Wolf going to find a kill already. 2 kills already as Wolf has been fragging out all game long, man.
Got also credit to Sleepy. Oh man, is he able to find Ultima Web? Dreamcasper actually comes through with that kill. But Sleepy, of course, on point with those nano boosts. Timing those pretty well onto his ally there. But 20 seconds left on the clock, Hurix. They've got nothing really to work with on the defensive side other than Dreamcasper's ult. They're getting close to a couple of them, but this should be the offensive fight. They really got to get something going here. They've got the Nano Visor at the ready from AMS and WGB. Muma has to come up big with an Earthshatter here. Deadeye's out for Dreamcasper. Can he find anything behind the shields? The real question here. Both shields are out. Not going to be able to find anything with that one, as there's the nano boost coming out onto AMS. Drops his sights here. Huge. No, nothing from the Earthshatter. I don't think he got anything, but might have been able to connect onto one support in the back here. Earthshatter comes through from JKW. It's a 1-for-1. Dreamcasper finds 2. Dreamcasper gets 3 kills on the side here. Nobody is dealing with the McCree, unfortunately, and that could be the end of this one. Finds the kill onto Ultima Web. What is this? Dreamcasper popping off on Tempo Storm's side. They're going to be able to come out with the match victory and go up 1-0 in this series.
Having Dreamcasper on the roster now for Tempo Storm is such a huge pickup. Certainly Spo has done great things from Spicy Boys as well, but Dream came alive in that match there. Wolf, of course, having some really, really nice nano visors definitely set him up for sure. And having those 2 threats on the roster now is gonna prove to be absolutely insane going forward, and it's really good for Tempo Storm at the moment. You can see Wolf here probably going to be a really nice set of kills here.
Gotta hand it to Tempo. That was impressive display given what they worked with on the defensive side here. I mean, a Junkrat, Torbjorn, Symmetra as a one entity, you don't ever really see that. So saying that pretty much, I want to say that worked for him. Given the fact they didn't, do an entire defensive hold, that was still an impressive display. So, gotta hand it to those guys. Tempo Storm going up 1-0 in this series as we head to Dorado. What are you thinking about this next matchup for this next map here?
I mean, already I'm really impressed with Tempo Storm. I think JKW is doing fantastically. Overall, the roster seems to be kind of coming together quite well. Wolf and Dreamcasper, of course, huge standouts at the moment in those DPS roles. Dream doing fantastic as that kind of third tank slash flex DPS coming alive on the McCree. I really like what I've seen so far. So I would say that I'm probably going to switch my favor a little bit towards Tempo Storm at the moment. I think that they're working well together already, and I'm really excited about this roster now, man.
I got to get the teams changed up here, and I think it's just a name change. I think the change before actually changed it all up. I'm not sure what's going on with that bug, but it is a little confusing, I know for myself, so it has to be a little confusing for the viewers. But we're going to be heading to Dorado for map number 2. And this is pretty much all or nothing for Gale Force here. And I believe the sides are going to swap. So it will be Tempo Storm on the defensive, or excuse me, on the offensive. Oh, wait, were they on defense first time? I think they were.
Yeah, they were defending first.
No. Gale Force defended first. Gale Force defended first. That was it. So Tempo Storm going to be the first one to defend. And get underway in just a moment here. This is, like I said, this is best of 3. So if Tempo Storm take this, they'll be in the semifinals to take on the winner between Nameless and CLG, if I'm not mistaken. Taking a look at the bracket, I don't think any results have come in from the other matches just yet. Yeah, it doesn't look like so. So both semifinals and the finals, of course, going to be streamed. And we are good to go in this second matchup. So now that we've had a little bit of time to see those two teams in action here, X, what do you think? Do you think Tempo Storm's got this one in the bag?
It's tough to say a team has it in the bag with this matchup. I think, like I said before, I would give favor to Tempo Storm at the moment. It seems like they've really kind of come together quite well. They have already a nice little synergy going for themselves. It seems like they're cohesive enough to the point where their individual talents that Tempo Storm has kind of compiled onto this roster are now meshing well together. And especially, like I said before, Wolf and Dreamcasper, really, really impressive players. It's really nice to see them in the limelight at the moment again here, especially Dreamcasper, who, I mean, really just lit the world up at the end of that.
He seriously
last match,
did.
But
I mean, you got to hand it to the guy. That was impressive play. And it looks like, again, Tempo Storm are going to be going with this unorthodox composition. At least, no, Torbjorn going to be making a change, but Junkrat seems to be a set pick. And going with a Symmetra. Symmetra, of course, wouldn't be a crazy one, but seeing a Junkrat for a second time in a row. And Ultimate Web on the Pharah. Maybe somewhat expecting that pick. He's got to deal with that Junkrat a lot better than they did last time, though, because honestly, I don't think they got a single kill on the Junkrat until maybe 1:30 was left. And at that time, they already had the teleporter for him to get back rather quickly.
looks like we are going to be seeing Ultima Web once again here on the Pharah. Honestly, just didn't really put in the work that I was kind of expecting him to. I mean, this is a phenomenal player that is known for playing a lot of these projectile classes, primarily, of course, that being the Genji, but definitely someone that is very strong on Pharah as well, but didn't really put in the work, like I said, that was, I guess, kind of expected of him in that last matchup on Hollywood, especially on offense there. But nonetheless, having another opportunity here as he's just kind of seeking out these turrets a little bit, trying not to give too much credit to Spo's ultimate now as he's sitting at about 20%. Wolf as well, already at 24% himself, and they're going to be seeing Muma with a little bit of an kind of a moment for redemption after kind of whiffing a lot of those ults in that last matchup.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the guys on the Gale Force definitely know they have to step it up after that last map. That was just, I mean, we've seen better play from all of them, certainly. So they've got to get something going for themselves. They've got to have better Earth Shatters, I mean, most importantly, from Muma's side. And Ultimate Web has to deal with Hui. Wolf actually taking a bit of damage there from the Pharah in the skies. Has to turn his head here. But the first kill coming out there on the Boink. Ultimate Web going to be dropped by Spo as well. So maybe a little too close to the ground, but they're going to force him back once again and buy themselves a little bit more time here.
Overall, I mean, a really good move from Muma there, just sidestepping the charge that came out from JKW, went to go for the counter charge. If he would have landed that, that would have been a great opening for them to have the control on those steps, but missing that charge just set up the defense there. Tempo Storm to just completely just rip them apart at that point without having that Reinhardt to kind of control the engagement a little bit, and they are kind of setting themselves up once more on these.
I mean, another pick, dude. Another pick on AMS. I think last time on Hollywood, AMS got picked twice early on. They couldn't actually make a team push because he got picked twice, I believe, by the Junkrat both times. So they've got, oh, there's a pick on the Spo. Spo never got his teleporter or shield gen up, so he'll have it. But the real question is, can they hold off? And what's now a 5v5? There's a mischarge by JKW. Muma follows up with one of his own. That's a nice pick. That's exactly what they needed, but they're not on the payload. They're not actually progressing at all here.
The big thing is that with that nano boost, while it didn't really accomplish much, what it did accomplish is backing them up off of the point. And we're going to be seeing AMS come in with a little bit of an ultimate combination of his own. And AMS, once again, not really finding anything here as Dreamcasper went for a nice little hook there. They completely zoned that ultimate out, found 2 kills for themselves, and the spam now coming from Hui is really just relentless DPS. And look at that! Sleepy putting him to sleep there as WGB falls to the floor, and a nice Biotic is going to hit him as well. And they are finding kill after kill after kill. Tempo Storm.
That's a big turnaround, man. That's a huge turnaround, especially since you didn't have that teleporter from Spo. You have it ready to go now, so this is going to be a really rough push with only 120 on the clock. But we did actually see this from Gale Force on on Hollywood. We saw them come up with that first checkpoint when it really mattered the most at the last second. Let's take a look at what Ultimate Web's able to get done, because he has to deal with Hui here. And he's got to make sure he's not getting picked up in the skies by Sleepy and Wolf. He's going to look to go around the backside potentially. Muma also needs to come up big with an ultimate. We saw him have a decent one earlier. We'll have to see if he's able to find another one for himself here. There's the Riptire coming out. Sound barrier as well. Graviton Surge comes through from Boink. Is there any follow-up? The Barrage in the skies picks up one. AMS finds another with the Helix there. Earthshatter connects only onto Spo in the back. Not able to find the kill, though, unfortunately, for himself. So not the greatest of Earthshatters coming out from Muma. Buys themselves a little bit of zoning. The real question is, can they find the kills here with that teleporter still in the mix? There's the Graviton, or excuse me, there's the Nano Boost coming out onto Wolf. Wolf looking to finish off. Muma in the back finds a kill. Hui gets 2 for himself as well. And now 30 seconds on the clock. They still have time for a regroup.
One final push here to try to get it through this first objective, and it's going to be a tough one. I mean, Spo doesn't have that ultimate at all at the moment, so they don't have that to fall back to. But I mean, honestly, with those turrets up, if they just kind of rush in, which they're going to be forced to do that, only 9 seconds left on the clock, they have to charge in here, and Muma doesn't have anything to hold his side up with. WGB is probably going to be nano boosting him, but again, 1 second left on the clock.
Oh, they managed to get onto it, but JKW finds the charge kill. There's a kill coming through back onto him, though, as Wolf picks up one. No one is dealing with this 76. Gotta credit a lot of that force back from Dreamcasper coming through there with the whole hog. Oh, it doesn't even matter as Hui gets the kill there onto AMS, who had actually just dropped his sights, and that's going to be a 2... Or excuse me, that's going to be nothing on the board, rather, for Gale Force. And Tempo Storm, they've got their work cut out for him here, X. And honestly, that's not much distance to push whatsoever.
It's been really rough for these guys with the way that Tempo has been playing. I mean, Gale Force hasn't really had any opportunities. You would kind of expect Ultima Web to be able to really, like, just lay those rockets in from above and have a lot of control over, you know, that ground game and really kind of put the pressure on. But the problem is that whenever he goes up, because of the fact that he doesn't have the Mercy to back him up or anything like that, which is fine, he basically just gets torn apart by both Sleepy and Wolf. I mean, they are just relentless with the pressure that they go into the skies onto him to shut him down, because that's really the only thing that's going to set them from, you know, winning or losing, having that Pharah viable or not. That's the thing. And because if that Pharah is able to really kind of lay into him, then Hui already is going to be basically countered out. But because of the fact that Sleepy and Wolf were able to really put some damage into Ultimate Weapon, prevent him from having the kind of control that he would have liked to have had in that matchup, you know, Hui was just coming alive and really controlling the ground game for them. And because they were finding picks with Dream as well, Dream, of course, getting some nice hooks there, and JKW just playing out of his mind in terms of controlling between the two Reinhardts and kind of winning that duel out more often than not. The team is really just, again, meshing very well together and playing very well. And that composition, which normally, you know, if you look at it in like competitive, it would be very frowned upon. Yeah. But it works out really, really well for them because of the way that they're able to play it, kind of playing around each other and playing with each other the way that they have.
Yeah, I'm just so shocked still that the Junkrat picked work. I think we're going to have to talk a little bit about that in a little bit here after this series has ended, and what to really make of a pick like that you just don't really see in competitive play in tournaments for that matter. And there's a hook right away coming out, unable to find anything. Ooh, coming back onto Dreamcasper. They're able to find that kill, so that's a good way to start this one. Of course, it's not a long walk by any means for Dreamcasper, but picking up a little bit of that ult charge is always going to help you out on the defensive side.
Wolf this time on the McCree as opposed to the Soldier that we've been seeing him a lot on, and Dreamcasper, of course, did just get picked, but is on the Roadhog at the moment, and he's going to come back. Already, Muma with a decent bit of ult charge for himself, landing some nice fire strikes. Should be able to win that race out a little bit. It looks like they are going to take that same high side that we saw Gale Force try to take as they're pushing in now, and we're going to see a flashover happen, and they're just going to open it right up. Finding the kill onto Muma.
Muma just going to be dropped right away there. That was a nice product actually coming through from Sleepy to set that one up. Nonetheless, Mitcher and AMS come back through with a couple of their own, and that's a hook onto JKW out from Ultima Web. He's been on spot with these hooks already this match, only a minute into this one, so it's going to force Sleepy and Dreamcasper to go all the way back here. And Mitcher, of course, he's got that shield generator up, so that's going to be a big pain for Tempo to really deal with here, as AMS about ready to get started with his ultimate in just a second. Wolf doesn't have his at the ready, so ultimate-wise, it's going to be Gale Force kind of having the advantage. They're looking pretty good here.
Kind of swinging out towards that side once again here. Last time the flashover was absolutely sick. This time they're not going to have it at their disposal, as Wolf has slid over to that Soldier now.
Have to see if they're able to take care of AMS. They've got the nano boost as well. He's going to look for some high ground here. There's actually the nano boost coming out. If I'm not mistaken, that was onto JKW. They find the shield gen. There's the attack visor coming down from AMS. He finds one, but can he deal with JKW? Violet grenade follow up from WGB connects, but he's still alive. Huge heals from Sleepy. Keep him alive, man. He was at about 10 HP for the most part. Dreamcast were also coming through with a whole hog, and I'm afraid that's pretty much it because they only had a shield gen. The Graviton Surge nonetheless comes out from Boynt. Can they finish him off? He's from behind. They don't actually see him. Now they actually have Muma back in the mix. Earthshatter doesn't actually land, unfortunately, for themselves here. There's the Graviton Surge out from Hui. They're going to be able to wrap this one up here. I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to defend this as Mitcher tries to get back onto the payload. Not going to matter. Tempo Storm going to be able to grab the 2-0 series lead heading into the semifinals now to take on either Nameless or CLG. What a terrific push coming out from those guys. I mean, you got to hand it to Gale Force Heroics. Got to hand it to him. It looked really well defensive side the first 2.5 minutes there. Able to find some picks. Good picks coming out there from Ultimate Whip on the whole hog. But what do you make of Tempo Storm now, seeing their roster?
Okay. I've been, like, basically...
Junkrat play the game. I just got to say that first.
Yeah. And this is when he really put in a lot of damage. I mean, that mine right there, that concussion mine, was absolutely insane. Really put in some good work when they needed it, because that was what kind of stopped them from getting that point. But nonetheless, I do want to say there a bug happened there that doesn't happen all too often. It does happen occasionally, but not all that often. Muma actually landed a fantastic charge onto nano boosted JKW after he was earth shattering, and because he was right next to the wall for some reason or another, and since Muma actually got CC'd in the same moment, for some reason or another, JKW actually got teleported through the wall and into the building, which allowed him to be standing on top of the teleporter. And then he just killed the teleporter since he was nano boosted and doing.
Okay, I was wondering. I was like, how did he get back there so fast?
And just was on the teleporter already.
I was wondering how he got there so fast because I was like, okay, I swapped to his perspective. I'm like, how is he already on the teleporter? I thought he was just in the middle of the fight right there. So that was a little odd, and that's really detrimental to what Gale Force is doing there, and that they lost their teleporter rather quickly on in that fight. I don't think they would. Honestly, that could have been Gale Force's game had that not happened, unfortunately. But nonetheless, Tempo Storm, they do take the series, so they will be heading into the semifinals to take on Nameless, or excuse me, yes, it would be Nameless or CLG in that matchup. I don't think a winner is coming out of that one. But now that we've seen the Tempo Storm roster, now that we know what Spo and Dreamcast were able to do with these guys, what are you thinking about their chances to move on even past the semifinals and into the final matchup?
Well, I mean, going into the next matchup, like you said, is going to be Nameless and Counter Logic Gaming. I mean, if I was to guess who was to come out of that one, I would probably put my money on Nameless, although, as we've talked about between ourselves, Counter Logic Gaming is a roster that is kind of surging now, finally.
Yeah.
Ever since being signed, it's been a team that I think a lot of people have been questioning a little bit because they haven't really had a lot of big wins quite yet. And I think this is a big tournament for them to be able to kind of step up and say, you know what, this was worth it. This was worth the time invested that we put in, worth the big organization pickup as well, because they kind of really need that at the moment. I think it's at the point where it's not really looking too good, that they have this really nice organization picked up and they haven't really done much with it. So I would like to see Counter Logic really do a lot of great stuff today. Would like to see them in the next matchup up against Tempo Storm and have some battling between those guys. But I would probably say Nameless is going to be able to come out with that one, just based off of like match history and where the teams have been headed so far.
Yeah, I gotta agree on that one. I think Nameless. I think it's time for CLG to get something done. I really, it is. I mean, they haven't done a whole lot as of late, and even as 1%, they were still kind of trying to build themselves up. And I think there's a lot of potential with that roster. And actually, off that note, like I said earlier, of playing Nameless, they actually beat Nameless in a series back 2 nights ago on Thursday in the Good Gaming tournament. So they did beat them then, but beforehand Nameless had came out on top. So I think that's going to be a pretty good series. But guys, we've got both semifinals and the finals still yet to come here. So we are going to head to a break. Not sure which semifinal we'll have up next. It depends which one's ready first. So just taking a look at the bracket, we've got Hammers Esports up against Method, and Envision up against Stutzu in the top half of the bracket. Meanwhile, Temple of Storm just, of course, won, and they'll be taking on Nameless or CLG up next. So we're going to head to a break, guys. When we're back, we'll have that next semifinal ready to go. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a minute, guys. Welcome back, everybody, to the Haste Finals for Overwatch. We are almost ready to get into our second matchup of the day. It's going to be the semifinal between Hammers Esports and Envision. Hammers Esports took down Method 2-0 in the round of 8 matchup, while Envision took down Doot, I believe, 2-0 in their round of 8 matchup as well. So Hammers Esports and Envision, probably a team not a whole lot of people have heard about. They definitely have some recognizable names on their squad. As for Hammers, everybody should know about this team at this point in time. What are your thoughts on this matchup here as we get into the OW draft? You are muted, my friend.
Oh, there
now
we go.
You're good to go. There you go.
Now we're good. All right. Well, I think most people would probably agree with me in saying that Hammers Esports probably is favored in this one. Hammers Esports has really stepped up as of late, especially ever since being picked up by Hammers Esports, winning that Alienware monthly melee. Really kind of surging forward in terms of these NA teams that are kind of stepping up into that pro scene and into that upper echelon of teams rather in this region. But Envision has a pretty strong roster, and kind of recently they also kind of switched things up a little bit. They have, I believe, 3 guys from the old Cat 5 roster, Coffee, Dark, and McGravy, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, sticking with guys like Fozix, Mac, and they have Ned on the roster as well. So again, another roster that is really strong. They have played together for quite a while. The old Cat 5 roster was pretty good. It was one of those rosters that was kind of like the old Hammers before Bird Noises, where they were kind of pushing themselves forward, but they hit like a little bit of a plateau. And it seems like now they have been going over to Envision, and it seems like they've surrounded themselves with some guys that are going to work well with them. Again, though, I think that Hammers Esports is probably going to take this one. I would say. Yeah.
I mean, Envision dropped. I don't know what happened to a couple of their guys. I mean, they had Teenage, they had KSF.
Teenage, in my opinion, was a huge standout for Envision. I think that was definitely a little bit of a loss there, but nonetheless, I mean, I think the pickup after Teenage was Dark, and Dark is also
they're good players,
and they've played together before, a lot of these guys too, so that's also kind of a bonus in that department. But I agree, I think losing Teenage is a big deal for Envision, because when the last time that we saw Envision, they were running KSF and they were running Teenage as well, and those two guys really came up for Envision and really performed quite well, and they were honestly kind of a pillar for the team at that point. So.
And honestly, at that point in time, Envision was a team that was really on my radar for, an up and coming team. And, we get to see these teams quite often, especially Envision. We've seen them quite a few times over the past few weeks. So, they've definitely got some solid pickups. Like you said, K5 was a team that was on the rise before. I'm not really sure what happened, but they just kind of disbanded. But like you said, a lot of these guys did play together in the past, and I'm gonna have to pin Hammers Esports as the favorite, definitely. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Envision give them a run for their money here. I think Envision is still a really strong roster, and I don't think you take these guys too lightly whatsoever here. So, taking a look at the map draft, still got a couple of outliers. Oasis still in the mix, so is Volskaya and Nepal. So, hoping we get to see at least some King of the Hill today. King of the Hill, as you know, is my favorite game mode to actually spectate, so we'll have to see what they want to actually go with here. And Hammers Esports, their bans are pretty traditional. Hammers, going into this, definitely thinking, all right, we know we're the, we know that we have the upper hand here, we're the favorites here. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of these maps we're really not wanting to take any chances on here. So I'm expecting Oasis to go out next as well.
I have to imagine that's going to be the case, and we'll probably see Kings Row, Nimbani, and Nepal, and that is going to be what's going to occur, and it's going to be Nepal falling to third place, or third map rather. See if Nimbani or Kings Row is going to be first. But while we do wait for that, that is going to be Nimbani into Kings Row into Nepal for this Hammers Esports versus Envision. And I do want to iterate one time that this has been a day of some surprises. Earlier today, we saw some stuff going on in EU that was pretty surprising with the Helsinki Reds and everything, taking a map, and it hasn't stopped here for Haste either. We've seen a couple of really cool things already start up in this tournament as well. Primarily Tempo Storm taking it 2-0 over Gale Force with Tempo with an all new roster. But the thing that I think is more interesting is Counter Logic Gaming taking it 2-0 over Nameless. And Nameless was the second seed going into this tournament, and Counter Logic has been kind of rocky a little bit lately. We talked about them before, but having them take it 2-0 over a team like Nameless, I think is really, really cool for them to be able to go forward onto a team like Tempo Storm, because Counterlogic Gaming, as we've talked about, is a team that really needs to step up at this moment now to be able to solidify themselves as worthy of the big pickup. But Hammers Esports and Envision, I think, is there's a little bit less riding on it. I think Hammers Esports is just trying to solidify themselves as a really, really top dog right now in NA to be able to push themselves into those top NA teams. And then Envision is just trying to make a name for themselves. But I think everybody's expecting Hammers to take this. If they do, it'll be no big deal. It'd be kind of like I said, it'll be an expectation. But I think it's been a day of surprises, man.
It really has.
It really has.
And not even necessarily the match that happened, or I guess the result between Tempo Storm and Gale Force, but what Tempo Storm was able to do on the defensive side with, you know, a Junkrat pick. A Junkrat pick twice, man. Twice. Hollywood, and then over to the second map, Dorado as well. And then, of course, Symmetra going for both maps, and a Torbjorn on Hollywood as well. So, you know, odd compositions coming out there from them. But we'll have to see. For those of you that don't know Envision, Envision is actually a signed roster. Apparently a new organization that's that does have a backer. I've talked to the guy, I think, once or so. But they are a signed roster. So given that, you know, they still have, you know, plenty of opportunity to make a name for themselves here. And honestly, it starts right here against Hammers Esports.
Fast over on Torbjorn right now, and I imagine Train is going to swap here, and it looks like that is going to be the case. So he's going to go over to that soldier, and they're going to be going no Symmetra, but rather with a Vast.
I mean, this is something they do. They've ran this before.
Yeah,
they've definitely ran this before. Jake also on the Mei, which is a little surprising to see from him. But on the offensive side, we've got a very heavy dive composition with a Mercy coming out. No Ana, going with Ned on that D.Va here. So I feel like we've seen this from Envision as well. They really like playing this dive-heavy composition, and already going to try to get on that Torbjorn as McGravy trying to get some work done. McGravy going to be the first to go as Train picks up that kill with the 76 here. Vol also getting the D.Va out of the mech. So a very strong start here for Hammers Esports. Not even phased whatsoever by this dive comp coming out here from Envision.
I really would have liked to see Hammers pull away with that kill on Fozix, but Fozix is going to get away, so they're not going to be able to get that little bit of ult charge, and he's going to be kind of riding right alongside the rest of Hammers Esports, Fozix that is, having about 40% ult charge. So when they do wind up pumping all those ults out, you should be able to see Fozix come back with a nice little resurrect. We do see a lot of aggression so far coming out, especially from Coffee and Ned. It didn't really work out that first time, but I imagine once Fozix can get that resurrect ready to go, they're going to be in a much better position to just go all out aggression, get those first kills out of the way, and just come back with a vengeance.
Already going for that Torb once again. They've got to get rid of that turret down below here. Is still looking pretty healthy on the side of Envision, looking to finish off. Oh man, it's going to be Coffee the first to go down though, and so is Ned. So they lose both those tanks, which is a staple to having that dive comp. And then Torb turret actually coming up clutch there, takes down Dark on the Pharah, and once again Hammers Esports going to be able to hold on without actually expending any ultimates, fortunately for them, and neither team really doing it. Actually, it was a dry run for both of those squads here, but Hammers Esports clearly having the upper hand in terms of ult charge for this next engagement.
Really, Hammers definitely in a really good position right now, given the fact that they have a lot more ults, but Fozix actually going to swap over to the Ana.
I feel like the
Mercy. He
did have the resurrect. He did have the resurrect, but I don't know. I really didn't feel like it was panning out too well for him here. There's the Graviton Surge coming out for Vol. Can they get anything off it? Not going to expend any ultimates, but they're actually the Nano Boost coming out surprisingly onto Jake here. Jake going to try to freeze some people up. They follow up with a few kills off of that one as Jake just freezes them up. Had the Blizzard as well, able to solidify that one with that Graviton Surge. So another team wipe coming out for Hammers Esports, and they still have a couple ultimates to work with.
Ultimately, they're really not really forced to use a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's the Nano Boost in that last one, Jake is as well, but Avast is in a really, really good position right now to start things off nicely with a really good ult. Looks like he's setting himself up a little differently this time, and he is going to go ahead and put that turret back up. He does have his ultimate super, already finding a kill. Jake with a nice wall to just kind of isolate those guys that just went in very, very aggressively. And once again, Hammers Esports, without using anything, looks like they're going to hold this one off again.
It feels like Hammers are doing a terrific job of just honestly positioning overall, just knowing when Envision is getting pretty close to them and actually amping it up with Mac on the Lucio, you know, and looking to make a push there. And it's Super with the ability to just back off of that one. Great heals coming out from Rob throughout, able to keep him alive. And remember, Rob is solo healing this. So this is, I mean, he's doing a terrific job for what he has to work with here. And he's just holding them at bay from above here. There's a sleep dart coming out from him. A little too late, unfortunately. Attack visor coming now out for McGravies. He's trying to get something done onto the Winston, who popped the Primal Rage. And all off of this, they still lose Mac in the process here and lose Dark as well. So it looks like Hammers still are going to be relatively okay numbers-wise as Jake comes in here. Going to actually crowd freeze himself off here. Look to keep his team, you know, kind of in the back line a little bit longer here. But they come up with the kill. 15 seconds now left on the clock here.
They've been kind of forced back time and time again here. The damage that's coming onto that door is just absolutely ridiculous. It's relentless to a point where they haven't been able to do much with it. Nonetheless, McCreevy going to come out with that nano visor, or just with the nano boost rather, and he's going to try to find some kills. Only finds one there, and now Mac going to be taken out. And yet again, Hammers Esports, without really expending much of anything, is holding this yet again here.
Earthshatter comes out from Coffee down below, and that just looked a little too easy for Hammers, if you ask me. I think there was one or two opportunities coming out on the side of Envision to get something done, but it just didn't look like they were able to capitalize on it. I mean, they had lost a couple of guys and just didn't really have anything to pull the trigger and move down below to the low ground and actually get a tick for that matter. So it will be Hammers coming up with a clean hold on the defensive side. Now their opportunity to show us what they can do on the offensive side. And I've got to ask you here, X. I really have to ask you. There was a lot of talk about, after the Gosu Monthly, about what Hammers Esports would be able to do outside of, you know, a 4-tank strat, because undoubtedly they were the best at the 4-tank strat. And of course they're going up against Envision here. They beat Method, a couple of rosters that are yet to really prove themselves, but right away, what can you take away, I guess, from what we've seen from them here?
Right, I think for who they were playing against at the time, I think they were undoubtedly the best 4-tank strat that, I mean, was in their ballpark. I mean, we hadn't seen them against some of the other really, really strong 4-tank strat teams, of course. So it's hard to say that they were the best just in general, but definitely in the caliber of teams that they were playing against, and pretty much every tournament they were in where they played it, they definitely were the best. Sure. However, I think this is going to set them apart in terms of being able to say, you know what, we're here to stay. We have some talent, and we talked about this a little bit in our video that we had I think it was a week ago or so with Rivalcades, and basically it comes down to the fact that, I mean, since we've been watching this team, they have actually a very large depth of talent that comes across, and Jake actually told us a little bit about this when we talked to him directly, and he was saying, you know, basically when these guys are playing, they can play almost everything. Every single one of these guys can play a whole bunch of different roles, pretty much every hero on the block, and honestly, that's something that I think Hammers Esports has in their favor, of just being able to have that adaptability, that versatility, and that's really going to help them, and I think that's why they're doing so well, even now, outside of this 4-tank meta that they've been pushing forward.
Well, rather similar compositions coming out here from both sides, both kind of having that Winston Pharah Mercy combo coming out from here. So it's a battle of the Pharahs in the skies. Who's going to come out on top? As it looks like Dark yet to actually connect with Jake on that one, and neither team really looking to pull the trigger just yet as Super gets on the point. Dark coming up with a kill. Oh, gets the pick there onto Jake in the skies. That's a nice connect coming out from him, and a good start here, but turn around, they actually grab another onto Rob as well, so they get rid of that Mercy and Pharah combo. Now they just need to clean up what's going on below here, as Vol going to get picked off as well. Very back and forth battle right away.
Seems as though it's kind of coming to an end now, though. Super definitely coming alive with a Vast on the point, and we did see Jake actually kind of holding off a little bit towards the spawn. Looks like they were Oh, Train!
He comes up right into his face, man. Mid barrage, and now Train is super low at 20 HP here, and it's going to be Envision struggling to get back in time. Can they do it? Train, no, not going to be able to get back into the mech, unfortunately. Dragonblade almost ready here for Vol. They do have the sound barrier as well if Avast really needs it, and Super getting close. All of these guys are dangerously close to having their ultimates here, and should be able to finish this one off as Dragonblade at the ready for Vol. I'll have to see if he even needs it, to be quite honest, as he is slicing past these guys one after one. That's going to be it. Hammers Esports taking a very clean map number 1 on Noonbani.
I don't think Jake even really felt like that was going to work out the way it did. Super and
Yeah.
Avast really holding the point down for themselves, and a lot of that came down to Avast, who's the newest addition to this roster, just somehow staying alive versus so much. And on that Lucio, that's exactly what you're looking for. And Hammers Esports, back before they were Hammers Esports and when they were still Bird Noises, they were struggling a little bit. They were not sure if they wanted to go on, and they found Avast. It seemed like it was kind of working out quite well. They got the pickup from Hammers Esports, and they've been really surging ever since. And I think this is the best that we've seen this roster right now. I think that they're at their all-time high, and only place that they can go, in my opinion, is up at the moment. But they still have to beat out Envision. While it did look very nice here on Numbani, they still have another map to go. They still have to push through that one. I still think that they have the ability to go 2-0 in this one. I still think that they will go 2-0 in this one, but I don't want to count Envision out just yet.
I don't either. We're heading to Kings Row next. Obviously, Kings Row probably a map more teams have a little bit more experience on, so heading to that one. What are you thinking about this one? I believe it will be Envision on offense first time here once again, and we get to see what they're able to do on Kings Row. I mean, it just didn't look like Hammers were faulting at any point in time. Of course, they lost a couple of guys, but they looked so clean with their duos and whatnot. And right, looks like Kings Row, or maybe it's not. Let me see here. It is.
Should be Kings Row.
It is Kings Row. Okay, we're not doing the loser picks. It's just the same map rotation. So, are about to get into this next one, but yeah, it looks like Hammers just so clean with everything they've been bringing to the table here. It doesn't really matter what they ran on the defensive side. I mean, Avast was playing Torbjorn. We've seen that from him in the past on Numbani. And Envision, I mean, despite K5, a lot of these guys coming from K5 in the past, and K5 was a great roster. I mean, this is a behemoth right in front of them. I mean, Hammers Esports. And if Hammers Esports take the second map, they're in the money, they're in the finals, up against the winner between CLG and Tempo Storm.
Yeah, I definitely think that, looking back, Bird Noises with Verba, who's now on Immortals, was, I mean, honestly, a really, really strong roster. Once Verba went over to Immortals, like I said, they had a little bit of moment of rockiness. But now with Avast, it seems like they've been able to not only accomplish the same things that they would have with Verba, but I feel like they've really it's kind of emboldened them as a team, because they've had to go through that stage of, finding themselves, what works, what doesn't, and really kind of coming into their own once again here with Avast on the roster. And Avast, a really solid Lucio, seems like now coming away from it, where, as Jake has told us personally and has said in interviews a couple of times, it's not based off of one shot caller, and they think that's kind of why it's worked out for them so well, is that everybody's kind of calling exactly what they need to be doing. And for the most part, Jake's calling the strats and everything, but other than that, everybody's working together very cohesively. And ever since they've made that swap, ever since they've made that adaptation to the way that they operate as a team, it really has seemed like they've been surging forward, and they've gotten a lot better. Right before our eyes, they have become a very, very solid team, and taking on Envision like this is just a testament to that fact.
Yeah, I don't want to leave Envision out of the mix either, because I mean, I'd talked about these guys in the past about, honestly, they're one of the most up-and-coming teams from what I've seen in the past here, and there's only a handful of teams that I could really say, hey, they're a team that I could see being really good in a couple of months down the road. But that was also with Teenage and KSF in the mix as well. And not to say their replacements are bad by any means, but those guys had experience together over the past couple of weeks. They played as Envision. They were looking really strong together. And who knows how long they've had this roster together. This could have been a couple of days ago they decided.
Actually. Need a pause? Pause?
There we go. All right. And I'm not sure what that's about. We'll have to take a second and see.
At a DC, it looks like.
Gotcha. Only a couple seconds off the clock there. Anyhow, who knows how long these guys have been playing together? I mean, of course, they had experience with K5 in the past, but to take a break, play with some different guys, and come back, I mean, it's not quite the same, I would have to say.
Yeah, that was definitely the big thing on my mind with Tempo Storm, is we don't exactly know what goes on behind the scenes other than what we've seen and what has been told to us. And even that is just kind of iffy. So with that kind of stuff, with Tempo Storm picking up those two guys from Spicy Boys as well as JKW from Complexity, it's one of those things where it's just, kind of it's kind of hard to say what we're to expect. And this is another one of those situations where, going into this, not having KSF, not having Teenage, you know, those are some big names that used to be on the Envision roster. For I mean, for whatever reason, they're just not here right now. And like you said,
we just don't know what happened.
It's hard to gauge.
Exactly, it really is. Anyhow, we are going to see the Hanzo. I mean, when's the last time we saw Dark on the Hanzo, man? He played this ages ago, and it worked so well.
2 months ago or something.
Yeah,
like
a couple
that.
months ago when he was with K5.
Zarya.
It worked so well for him here. We'll have to see how it pans out, as looking to pick off the Winston for the most part. But Jake's on the Winston. See, that's kind of the versatility we were talking about. Jake is a DPS player, but he's playing on Winston. He played Roadhog in the last patch and doing a great job already finding the kills into the back line there, and no protection whatsoever. So a good start for Hammers once again here.
Looks like Dark is actually gonna. Oh, he was thinking of swap and didn't actually go for it. And like we were saying, I mean, Dark on this pick right now, I mean, this was a big reason why K5 was actually kind of up and coming, because together with the Zarya, they were very, very strong in conjunction with one another once he was able to get that ultimate. And he was very quick in getting his ultimate too. They were able to just wipe teams up, and on this map especially, it was a big thing for them.
Big Earthshatter coming out there from Super, and he is definitely living up to the hype that he brought in the Alienware Monthly Melee. So we'll have to see if he continues this trend here. Big Earthshatter connecting, still holding on to a few ultimates on the defensive side. Rob, one of those Ana players that a lot of people have been impressed with as of late. Let's take a look at what he's able to do in this next engagement here. But ult's finally starting to stack up for the offense as well here.
Looks like they're going right through that hotel lobby, and they've already gotten purpled out a little bit, and it's definitely not looking good as Matt got dangerously low. And look at Jake, just beating these guys apart.
That's the separation you really need with that Primal Rage, not allowing for Coffee to get anything done, even throw up his shield for his allies there. As it looks like Ned going to be dropped as well. Phozix came through with the kill, gets hooked in. Jake going to be taken down. Could they pull this one back in their favor? There's the whole hog coming out from McGravy, pushing him back into the building there, but still, Super coming through with another Earthshatter, man. He's super low, finally going to be dropped here. Sound Barrier coming through from Avast, only connects onto him and Train, unfortunately, but they still hold the line, man. They push back Coffee, they push back Dark, and they are going to be able to hold on here.
Really good stuff from Train there as well, just holding on to that tactical visor. He did get nanoed, but didn't want to use that quite yet. He is going to have the opportunity to use it in the future. I think Dark spotted him out though, so good vision from him to be able to sight that. So now Train's not going to surprise them when he does come down with that tac visor. He's going to probably open it up here, as we do see both Gravitons coming out, man.
Yeah, Graviton for both teams. There's the tac visor coming out from Train. He's able to find one with it, looking for another. Nice biotic grenade actually connects there from Rob, sets him up for success. Helix able to connect as well, narrowly dodges the hook from McGravy, which surely would have ended his life, but nonetheless, again, they hold on strong with 1 minute now on the clock.
Up here, Super, the only ult at the moment. Rob 420 should be able to get his back up at 95% right now, and Train needs to be kind of cautious, as this Genji is definitely looking for him here. Dark does know where he is, as he was able to sight him before. Certainly going to be able to know it now, and Dark now at about half HP. Ooh, almost taken out already.
Nano Boost actually coming out onto Coffee. Nano Boost as well onto Super, so it's Reinhardt v Reinhardt here. Both with their Earthshatters. Who's going to come up big is the real question at this point. Who's going to toss that shield up at the right time? But it's Vol from the backside, and Super comes up big. Vol with that kind of side pocket pressure onto the Reinhardt. Made him turn his shield around. Now 15 seconds on the clock here. Final opportunity to get something on the board.
Oh, look at position. He's just out here. Dark, once again, the vision on this guy is insane. He was able to spot that from pretty far away and knock him out, because Train was in a fantastic position to just rain death from above on that soldier nonetheless.
Full spawn actually not able to find a kill there. Dark comes up with the first kill here. That's a big start for him, but Train turns around for one of his own. There's an Earthshatter coming out from Super. He charges out of this one to get himself to safety, it seems, as Ned is melting him down. Needs some heals coming out there. Train now popping the tac visor, picks up 2 kills, looking to pick up a third, able to find Dark as well on the Genji. They're not going to be able to get back to the checkpoint in time here. It's another successful hold coming out for Hammers Esports.
Really fantastic stuff from Train, especially there, who was just always in the right place at the right time, as Jake was pulling a lot of the attention to himself over there on the Tracer. And honestly, I mean, they're really looking strong at the moment, able to make yet another first point hold. Now with an opportunity to just close this map out and the series with it, they're able to cap out this first point.
Yeah. If Hammers Esports take this point, they take this point A, they're going to be heading into the finals, at least in the money, as Total prize pool today, guys, if you're just joining us, $600, $450 to first, $150 to second place. So they would get in the money to take on the winner between CLG and Tempo Storm, which is going to be the series that comes up on stream next. We are going to be doing both semifinals. Really looking forward to that matchup as well here. But still, work to be done for both teams. Hammers just need to come out with that point A cap, and this kind of leaves a question mark on the side of Envision. Do they want to try anything tricky?
I don't know about that. Dark really had some good vision on Train, because Train was just countless times, I mean, always in some really nice positions, just putting in damage onto the back of that Reinhardt. Didn't even have to worry about winning the shield battle, because he was just always behind the Reinhardt, taking him down and just stripping down that armor, allowing Jake to just kind of run in and just be able to have a lot of efficacy. And then of course, when he switched over to that Tracer as well, just got even better for him, because he was able to just continue that pressure, and they were able to really kind of control all levels of the playing field. Now it seems Dark is going to be back on the Genji here, as Jake has gone over to the Pharah. Rob actually currently on a Zenyatta, and
Ooh.
that's actually somewhat interesting, because they're not running the Ana, and they're just going to be going for that
Triple DPS, man.
offense. Yeah.
Triple DPS. I like this, but right away, Battle Grenade actually connects, so it's going to force Train back a little bit. Doesn't really get a whole lot of charge for Fozigs, but I don't know if we've seen much Zenyatta from Rob in the past. I don't believe we have.
Yeah, for the most part, he has been on Ana.
Yeah, that's pretty much his staple go-to support. There's a kill right away onto Jake, as gets a little too close to McGravy, who connects with that headshot onto him. Rob picks up one as well, and Vol now in the back line trying to do something. But again, McGravy coming up big, and he's going to continue. Honestly, he has to continue to be that staple on the side of Envision if they want to come up with a successful defense here. But Dark comes through with the kill, and Envision holding on for the time being.
Somehow, Train able to make it out alive there, but does have this pulse bomb stacked up, but Vol getting dangerously low. Looks like defensively Envision is doing quite a bit better this time, as opposed to their offense. McGravy now forced back a little bit as Vol has swapped over, and Jake going very aggressive. Look at Vol's positioning as he's just darting back and forth through them, finding a kill initially, and Train helping out to find the kill on the Coffee.
Oh, nice pick from Dark there onto Vol, but can they clean it up? Rob coming through with the kill as he gets a little too close for comfort. They've got 4 on the checkpoint here. This is going to be a stagger back to the point, and Coffee is actually the closest one right now. I don't know if he's going to make it. I don't think he is. Might be able to get there with a charged. They don't have an Ana to sleep dart him, so he's able to get back onto the point in time. No, he isn't. Oh, man, I thought he was going to get there. Runs into the wall, and that's going to be a very quick 2-0 from Hammers Esports, taking down Envision without pretty much any effort whatsoever there. That just looked too easy for him. They're in the finals now, and Envision now going to be out of the tournament.
Super was right there with the ultimate ready to go as well. Primal Rage just knocked him right off the point, but yeah, not good there for Envision. Nonetheless, Hammers Esports really looking good to be able to move on to the finals against whoever winds up winning our next matchup, which is, if I'm not mistaken, going to be Counter Logic Gaming versus Tempo Storm. We saw Tempo Storm already today with a new roster, and Counter Logic Gaming, as we talked about, really needs to make a statement for themselves in this tournament here. So really looking forward to that one.
That's certainly true. I think you're hitting it on the head with CLG needing to make a statement here. They won the Good Gaming tournament this past Thursday. That was a $500 prize pool. They beat Nameless there. They beat Nameless today, and now they've got to go up against pretty much a brand new Tempo Storm roster with Dreamcaster, Spo joining from Spicy Boys, and a couple other guys from other teams as well. So I think they're going to have their hands full. I think Tempo Storm will definitely have their hands full as well. Really looking forward to that next matchup. Guys, we're going to head to a short break. Won't be more than a few minutes as those teams are ready to go, so we'll be back. Stay with us.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die, looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just find me, just find me. Sparks will fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who will never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never grow. We'll never grow. Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die, looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just find me, just find me. Sparks will fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who will never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never We'll never
Welcome back, everybody, to the Haste Finals. We are ready to get into our second semifinal match. It's going to be Tempo Storm up against CLG here. Really looking forward to this matchup. I think this is going to be probably the best one we've seen today so far. So, I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on this one here right away.
This is one that's kind of up in the air for me because CLG has definitely gotten a lot better in recent history for sure. I mean, losing to a lot of the teams that we kind of expected them to really kind of jump forward once getting picked up by CLG, and being able to be, I think they're in a house together right now and everything as well. So, you know, being able to have that close contact, be able to get onto a regulated schedule and with everybody and get into scrims and stuff is a big thing. And I kind of expected them to surge forward kind of early on. It seems like they had a little bit of a kind of a period where it didn't really go as fast. They didn't develop as fast as I thought they would, but it seems like now they're finally kind of, you know, hitting their stride. They've been struggling with Nameless a little bit, but I think being able to watch them against a team like Nameless, you can see how they've changed over time because they used to lose. Now, then recently, just in the last few days, they were able to beat them. I think it was 3-2. And then now being able to beat them out 2-0, to be able to make it a little bit more decisive means a lot for CLG to be able to say that they are getting better. It has been working out for them as well. So looking forward to seeing this map trap and looking forward to seeing them up against the new Tempo Storm team, because with those two new guys, actually three three new guys on Tempo Storm at the moment, with JKW and the two guys from Spicy Boys, but Spo and Dream Casper, who have been insane pickups for these guys already in day one. I think this is their first showing as well, actually, as well as Wolf too. So four pickups for these guys. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Sleepy might be a new pickup as well,
I believe,
or at least pretty recently. So yeah, the only one I really remember being on Tempo Storm is just Hui, and that's it. So
yeah, I mean,
so
going back to what you're talking about CLG and not really getting the results I guess we expected from them. I mean, you gotta remember. I mean, CLG, formerly the 1%. The 1% was a team we had watched for a month or two plus. A team that really started to develop, really started to get good. Then they just kind of dipped out for a little bit, got signed by CLG, of course, at MLG Vegas. And then there was a break period. And during that break period, I really expected them, when they came back into the first tournament, I believe it was a Rivalcade tournament, I expected them to just be like, out of nowhere, right? Just doing incredible things.
Tearing it up, right?
Really just tearing it up. But it didn't really happen. It didn't really start to kind of evolve as what we see them right now until a couple weeks ago when they started playing in more tournaments and starting to get what, like you said, they're in their house, starting to get into that rhythm. So because of that, I think CLG is honestly, despite being signed, still an up and coming team where they still have, they still have to prove themselves, obviously, but I think they're really starting to do some good things. And I think that started today and on Thursday with taking down Nameless, because Nameless is a really strong roster with Primo Dolce, Ducky, Lord Tachyon, a couple of those guys, really strong rosters. So I think that win today is really big for them, and I think this is a big game for both these teams. A new Tempo Storm roster and a CLG roster that is really needing to prove themselves here.
Yeah, so honestly, both teams with a lot on the lines for themselves. I think Tempo Storm a little bit less pressure since it is their first time out as a roster, but nonetheless still want to, start things off on the right foot. But again, CLG definitely needs this win under their belt to be able to push forward and say, like, what, we are making progress. We can push forward now with this roster and really kind of set a better tone for ourselves as a team. And we do see first couple bans coming out onto the draft here, as CLG has banned out Dorado and Gibraltar, and now Kings Row as well. And Tempo Storm banning out probably some more likely picks, Nepal, Lijiang Tower, as well as Eichenwald now. Do you still see, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, so all the 2CP maps are still on the table. I think that those are going to be taken out. I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, when you feel like you're the team with the upper hand, you obviously want to ban the maps that are a little bit more risky, the maps you don't have as much time played on. That way, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing bizarre can happen. I think that can also play into King of the Hill as well, because some teams are just really strong at King of the Hill. And seeing Nepal and Lijiang Tower banned right away from Tempo Storm maybe thinks, hey, we don't want to give them any chance to play these kinds of maps. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them get rid of Temple here, get rid of Oasis and Hanamura and Volskaya as well. So probably going to be going down to honestly, we're going to have one of these maps in there, Hanamura, Oasis, or Temple of Anubis.
Man, I think, I'm not sure if they were...
Wow.
I think they miscounted a little bit, because I don't think they wanted any of those three maps in there, but we are likely going to see one, but we'll have to see if we actually make it to a map 3. I imagine whichever map does go through, I think Oasis will probably fall and they'll allow Temple to go through, but I think what we're going to see, well, I mean, actually, Oasis could potentially go through. They could ban out Anubis instead, because I know a lot of teams do not like 2CP, and while Oasis is new, and while it is kind of finicky in the fact that a lot of teams don't have a lot of strats towards it, it is a King of the Hill map. So maybe for that reason, they might ban out Anubis instead. But
it's up to CLG, though.
I would allow.
Ooh, Oasis.
So it is going to be the case. Yeah. So they are going to go ahead and take out that 2CP, get rid of that entirely, and allow Oasis to be that third map. And we're going to be seeing Hollywood and Route 66 up first. Route 66 is one of the maps that I think is most interesting between these two rosters, because they have a lot of versatility between these guys. So certainly with CLG, I would say perhaps a little bit less, but to some extent mostly the same. Hollywood is going to be an interesting map, which is going to be up first, and we're going to go from there into Route 66. And then if we do go to a Game 3 onto Oasis, and I'm not sure, have we seen any teams play Oasis on the competitive level? I'm not sure if that actually has occurred.
Not that I recall. I know I haven't ever done an Oasis match in all the tournaments we've done, and the tournaments we usually do. I mean, they're tier 2, tier 3 tournaments for the most part. So we haven't even seen them. So to see that go through is a little interesting. I would not be surprised to see. Hang on one sec. We got to swap sides apparently. So given that, even so, I wouldn't be surprised to see us go to a game 3 here.
It's certainly now more possible than ever at the moment, and I think we're just going to swap teams up a little bit. But you know, from what we saw with Tempo last time around, I'm really looking forward to them stepping up and impressing us once again. But I'm definitely really excited to see Miso once again, especially some really cool stuff has come from iShiny. I know that iShiny has a lot of versatility that we haven't seen much of yet. He's basically kind of been stuck towards main tanking. And of course, Hydration has done a lot of cool things in the past. The very, very solid Ana player could potentially swap over a little bit to flex around in those supports. But the main thing is that I think CLG is burdened by a little bit is the fact that they do have versatility, but primarily on players that don't have the option to flex. I mean, guys like iShiny can't really hop off of the Reinhardt all too often unless they're picking up stuff like Winston, which we do see iShiny on at the moment. But I'm really looking forward to seeing basically what they're going to try to do with guys like Hydration, guys like Miso especially, and Micah now as well, to be able to really show off what they have as a roster together now that they've been able to work together at their house now and really kind of scrim and get caught up with the rest of the top NA teams.
Well, we did see Tempo Storm earlier on stream really take it to Gale Force with quite an unorthodox composition, and I'm really interested to see if they want to do that again, because they did it on Hollywood with the Junkrat, with the Torbjorn, and the Symmetra, and they did it on Dorado, so there's always a big question mark, I think, right now. Honestly, for right now, I think there's a massive question mark as to what Tempo Storm wants to do now against CLG, which I feel is going to be a little bit more tougher of a matchup than what we saw against Gale Force. Gale Force, honestly, they're a really strong team, but it just didn't look like they were on their best play today. And we'll have to see if CLG is able to stop Tempo Storm, because they've just been running through these teams today. So
yeah, so we are going to be seeing them going with that turret-based composition that has been seen a little bit, especially throughout the day. Mika as well as Hydration on Symmetra and Torbjorn respectively, and we do see Miso as always on that Zarya, which he is, I would say, pretty famous for at this point. Definitely kind of in some ways like that Kingdom roster where you see a very, very solid Zarya on the roster, and definitely a big staple to their roster at the moment. But nonetheless, not too much damage to start things off, as Mika didn't get too much ult to start things. 16% now as they've gone up, and it looks like they actually are falling back down to establish themselves over main.
It looks like Dreamcast were going to be the first to actually fall there. He got a hook in there. Now Shiny looking for a charge. Not going to be able to find anything. They do get rid of the Torb turret, but they're still down a man. You got to remember that. Losing that Hog is a big loss of pick potential, to be quite honest. Now Shiny is actually boot backed, it looked like. And CLG, I'm surprised CLG hasn't wanted to actually get aggressive off of that pick onto the Roadhog.
JKW just still holding the line here. Very nice sidestep onto iShiny, gets the charge, and they take iShiny out of the equation. Great move from JKW. He did it before, and he's doing it again. And now they're going to be able to basically just wait for JKW to get healed back up. Wolf setting himself up, and they should be able to just push in without having to worry about that opponent, Reinhardt.
And honestly, it was really surprising because JKW was super low at the time. Waffletastic actually dropping his sights there. Going to be taken down by Wolf in the meantime. And Mika actually, he's got his teleporter at the ready. Can he get it off is the real question. He actually just put it down behind the point here. So they've got to get past that. They've got to deal with that on the offensive side. But the Nano Boost actually come down. Huge Earth Shatter misses from JKW. So it looks like Shiny is actually going to be able to turn this one around for his team.
Really nice spot shield from iShiny, and one of those players that can do things like that. Really great move from him to be able to block that out, as we did see him whiff that charge, just set up the fact that they were in kind of a spotty situation, but being able to come back and make that play to set his team up with a defensive hold. Very nice comeback from that. But nonetheless, he does have that Earth Shatter at the ready this time around. We'll have to see if he's able to do anything with it. Typically, we've seen JKW basically spot those out and basically counter a lot of those so far throughout the day.
140 left on the clock here. They still do have that teleporter at play, and they've got to deal with that on the offensive side. Otherwise, that's just going to be such a nuisance for Tempo Storm here. It looked so good earlier on Hollywood, but there's Attack Visor actually coming out here from Wolf. Nano Boost coming out just a second later here. Not going to be able to find anything off that Graviton Surge from Miso. Can they have any follow-up? He's finally hit with a Bota Grenade, but just no follow-up off of that one as Waffle-tastic and Shiny going to be taken down here. Hydration as well, and it looks like Tempo Storm. There's the teleporter. Wolf going to be able to find that one in the back, but two people actually come back through it here, and they're still picking up kills on the side of Tempo Storm as Waffle-tastic going to be taken down by Wolf. Earthshatter comes through there. Doesn't even make the difference, though. The teleporter is still alive, and Tempo Storm going to be able to come up with that point A capture.
Really aggressive approach there, being able to find iShiny somehow. Nice hook coming out there, actually from Dreamcasper, to solidify that kill, because that's really what opened things up for them. Hui now charged up with that Graviton as they're going up to that second level, trying to get into position early on, so they have a little bit of an advantage here. And actually, Waffle-tastic going to be eliminated there by Wolf, and a lot of damage coming out to find that kill in conjunction. I think that was actually with Sleepy as well, landing the Biotic, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, they're very aggressively positioned. Really good point to be able to stand on so that they can actually push this objective very far through this stage of the map.
Looking pretty solid at this point in time as Hui's still ready to go with that big Graviton Surge. They do have a lot to work off of that with. There's the Attack Visor actually from Waffle-tastic. He's going to come in from behind, picks up one kill immediately on Dispo, gets knocked to the ground though, charged into, still alive thanks to the Nano Boost. JKW not able to find that kill, and more importantly, they're actually going to expend the ultimate onto I believe that actually went onto, that was onto Wolf rather, and they're still going at it. Didn't even use the Attack Visor. He's going to be taken down by the in the end, and they're going to be able to hold on here.
Coming up big, finding the kill on Wolf when he was nano boosted, and keeping Waffle alive so he can contest this point. They are still holding on now because of this, and great stuff from to be able to keep the dream alive a little bit.
2 minutes still on the clock. The hook, hook not quite connect. Actually hit him there, but is able to get out of the LOS fortunately enough here. Hydration ready to go with the barrage here. There's the hook into the Reinhardt. Earthshatter actually missing there from Shiny. The Attack Visor now from Wolf, able to take down Hydration before he's able to use that ultimate. Picks up 2 kills in the end onto both DPS, able to find a third onto the Lucio as well. And Tempo Storm starting to come alive. About time here. Just, you know, given their level of dominance in that round of 8 matchup, expected the same here, but finally able to turn this one in their favor.
Miso ready to go with the Graviton, looking for a little bit of a grouping. He's very low, and Dream's going to find that kill and take that threat completely off the table. They should be able to surge forward and get this second point now quite easily.
Nice picks from Dreamcasper, coming up clutch, man, and that Reinhardt way out of position here. Can they find the pick on the Shiny? There's a hook, not quite able to find that one, but he's going to be charging out of that one. Dreamcasper coming up big. That's a nice staggered respawn, able to come around the elbow at least. And it's still 2:30 on the clock. This is very holdable for CLG at this point, given their ultimates.
Pretty close as well with that sound barrier, but nonetheless, it's really going to come down to hydration on that barrage. We saw Miso not be able to get that Graviton last time. If he's able to land a nice one this time, we should be able to see the barrage come down on top of it. But look at the scattered setup that we do see actually from Tempo Storm. They are not going to let this Graviton be as pivotal as it could potentially be. It does go down, and JKW slides right out of it.
Connects.
Almost nobody inside of it.
He got literally no one, especially since JKW was just able to charge out of that one. He comes through with the kill. Huge Earth Shatter from JKW. There's the follow-up. They should be able to drive themselves right into Miso as he's going to be taken down by the charge as well. And Tempo Storm have taken control here before the third checkpoint. Still, there is plenty of time for CLG to get a regroup. They've got the Nano Boost. There's the Nano Boost actually coming out. It looks like they're going to drop it onto, I believe it was Waffle-tastic. Yeah, Graviton Surge comes through, though, onto him. Doesn't matter. There's the Attack Visor from Wolf. Can he find the kill into Waffle-tastic as the sound barrier kept them alive for the time being? It's just Waffle. He's going to be taken down, and that surely should be Tempo Storm with this final kill onto the. Going to be able to come up with this next checkpoint. No, Dreamcasper actually able to come back into this one, and they're still staggering this surprisingly enough. There's the sound barrier coming out here for Tempo Storm. Can they find the remaining people on the side of CLG? The whole hog's ready to go for Dreamcasper, and that itself should honestly seal the deal as he finds the last remaining kill onto Miso. 53 seconds on the board, which is actually given the situation CLG was in here, that's actually a win for them. Given the fact that they finished this map, they will still get time as well to finish, to do a second iteration of it.
Still going to be tough, though. I mean, going up against a team that hasn't dropped a hold yet, if I'm not mistaken. It is going to... Actually, they have. Sorry, I was thinking of Hammers for a second there. But Tempo Storm's still going to be a pretty hard team to go up against us. I mean, 53, while there's still time on the clock, if you finish up, you know, you're still in a good position. I don't know, man. Like, that did take quite a while. We did see a lot of great stuff from JKW especially, who really kind of opened things up a lot for them. But nonetheless, I mean, they're not out of this by any means. They could definitely still come back for sure. And even this one out a little bit, 53 on the clock certainly is doable. Very doable, but we'll have to see how it goes on this first point, because so far today, first points have been pretty rough to get through. A lot of teams have struggled through that, as you know, they can't just run in with those multiple tanks, and teams have been adjusting a little bit to that. Nonetheless, a strategy that we saw, I mean, last time with Dreamcasper coming around that back alley side and just laying in the hooks did not work out for them this time around. We saw actually CLG coming back, and they were actually playing that back alley side when they were falling back, so they were able to completely isolate him out, find that kill, and that slowed down the aggression from Tempo Storm quite a bit, actually. So great stuff from them on their first point hold so far, but we'll have to see what they're able to do on this attack side, because typically that's what I think Tempo Storm would have relied on to get them onto that point, and they just shut it down just because of the way that they actually play that point just passively.
Okay, well, it's the third time here for Tempo Storm breaking out the Junkrat on the defensive side once again. No Torbjorn this time around. They ran it against Gale Force. They ran the Torbjorn, Junkrat, and Symmetra pick, but not going to be the case here. Spell actually taking a little bit of damage there early on the defensive side. And they're going to be able to spot that trap from Hui. And this dive comp, we'll have to see how it works out for him here.
The getting charged up pretty quickly as well. And Miso up top trying to put in a little bit of pressure. We saw this a little bit from Ultima Wet before. Didn't really equate to too much, but this time around looks like they have found a couple of kills for themselves. Ice Shiny dropping there, but they really need to find the kill off JKW now if they want to do anything of note and open this site up a little bit. Micah pretty low as well, but look at the unpressured here up top.
Waffle-tastic is tearing through these tanks right now. Such a nuisance. Already has a barrage, but Miso going to be dropped there by Wolf. They're going to be able to finally take care of that nuisance of a Tracer and clean up shop here on the defensive side. A minute now elapsed, and still have a couple of ultimates to work with. You got to remember, Spo doesn't have his ultimate yet. He needs to find that charge. He has to get that up for this next fight, if you ask me.
And they absolutely need it, because pretty soon here, Hydration's going to have an ultimate of his own, and Mercy is already charged up. We see the Resurrect at the ready here. They should be able to get fully aggressive on this next push. The just hiding back a little bit, and should be able to just go off of that. We'll have to see what happens, though, as Spo did just get his up.
Oh, Nano Visor coming out. He finds Miso, looking for the Genji, gets him. When he has the Dragon Blade out there, it doesn't even matter that he was dropped there by Waffle-tastic. That was huge coming through there for the side of Tempo Storm, man. Shutting down the Genji, shutting down the Pharah Mercy immediately, and coming up with another successful hold.
I don't even know if Tempo Storm realizes how well that worked out for them, with Dream just hooking Mercy out of the sky, eliminating that threat. They are going to have it for this next fight, but Spo now already was able to set down his ultimate, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is the shield. No, it's actually the teleporter here, so they're going to have a lot of opportunity to come back and just regain the momentum if they do wind up losing it after the Resurrect.
Waffle-tastic was taken down. Hydration got the teleporter. That's important, but Waffle-tastic was taken down immediately. He's gonna, oh man, Shiny just going to be dropped here, and the rest of CLG going to be forced back. They've got themselves 130 on the clock. Most importantly for CLG, that push, they didn't expend ultimates. They got rid of the teleporter. That was the biggest thing for them right there, and they did exactly what they needed to do. I don't think they could have expected to come out on top with getting the teleporter as well.
Nespo trying to charge that one back up. Similar situation as what we saw last time, where he's probably not going to be able to get that ult up pretty quickly, but he is laying into these guys with a lot of damage coming out of that left click, and he's found the kill onto Hydration, and now putting it into work as well with the rest of his team. They are completely trying to take this one. The goes for the Resurrect, but ultimately they weren't able to really get the momentum I think they really wanted, and we do see
Wow, the
Ultimate
team
ever
wide,
ready
man.
for Spo.
Yeah, I mean, the Resurrect came through. That was a decent Resurrect. It got a couple of guys back up into the mix, but all of Tempo Storm was in the building. They were all there. Dream Casper had just found the kill onto Lucio. He had just brought out the whole hog, and there really wasn't much they could expect to get done with that. Now 35 seconds on the clock as Dream Casper narrowly misses the Tracer here. Wolf ready to go with the tac visor, and most importantly, Sleepy has his ultimate for him. And Wolf, we saw him last time just come up clutch, and look at where this Genji's at. Finds the kill onto the teleporter. Barrage picks up 3 kills from Miso, but actually the nano visor coming out for Wolf. Finds 1, finds 2 with it, looking for a third onto Winston. Pops the Primal Rage with 15 seconds to go, and you gotta question that Primal Rage, man. You have 15 seconds, you might have a chance to get back into that one and pop that at a later time, but he drops it anyways. He gets a little bit quicker of a respawn time. Now 5 seconds are on the clock. Waffle-tastic looking to come around the corner here, gets onto the point, gets the reset. Does get the overtime. The real question is, can they come up here with the big kills with 4 offensive characters? They find 1 onto Hydration. There's the, oh man, the Graviton Surge from Hui, so deadly, picking up 3 kills with it. Miso turns around with the 4th onto the solo healer Sleepy for the most part. Actually, Spo actually made a change in the end over Lucio, but that doesn't matter as Tempo Storm coming up with the first victory here in a decisive fashion here.
Yeah, definitely looking really good for them, making that first point hold and coming up from behind a little bit at the end there, where we did see Misa with a really nice barrage, but luckily for them, they did have Spo actually throw that shield up, that mobile shield from Symmetra up towards that barrage, and because of that, he was able to block off a little of that barrage damage that came out and really kind of set the pace for them a little bit, because otherwise Miso really would have kind of turned the burners on them and took a little bit of damage instead. But nonetheless, Spo coming up big there, able to put out a lot of damage and able to get his teleporter back up for that next fight, which did wind up setting them up for Wolf to just come up big once again there with the nano visor that set the pace a little bit. But now going into the second map, they do have, CLG rather, has another opportunity to kind of come forward and prove themselves once again. But overall, really good start for Tempo Storm.
I believe they are going to be swapping sides here and put CLG on the offensive side first up. We are heading to Route 66 for our second map, so first time we get to see this map today. What are you thinking about this one now that we've seen Tempo Storm? I mean, CLG almost held them. I believe there was like a minute maybe left on the clock before Tempo Storm actually took that first checkpoint. So I feel like that, even though CLG wasn't able to come up with the first checkpoint, I feel like Tempo Storm easily could have dropped that one as well if CLG had a little bit stronger of a defense there.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a lot closer than I think a lot of people realize. While we did see Tempo Storm go the distance and set a decent pace there, as well as make that full hold, it really was still very close. The street phase is one of those that is kind of finicky at the moment. We did see Tempo Storm actually take clever use of that top side, or rather that higher level up on top of the bank and on top of the saloon as well, by allowing them to just get a lot of free time back onto the clock for themselves by pushing that payload forward to that front corner before they even had the ability to engage. So good stuff from them to be able to make the most out of that. But ultimately, it really kind of came down to that first point, the fact that Tempo Storm made it and CLG didn't. I know that sounds obvious, but I mean, that really is what it comes down to, the fact that Tempo Storm was able to hold that one out. Nonetheless, it looks like we are going to be ready pretty soon here to go into Route 66. And this is a little bit different because this first point is a lot more open. There are a lot more angles. And I think Tempo Storm is a team, especially with Dream Casper, who is very cognizant of those angles that he can take and the alternative routes that he can exploit and kind of take advantage of. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Dream Casper really kind of, once again, exploit and kind of punish CLG a little bit with those alternative routes that he can take on this first point of Route 66.
I would love to see CLG take this one and head to a Game 3 on Oasis. I really would love for that. And well, I guess we're going to see right away how far they can actually manage to push the payload on Route 66. If they don't manage to get too far and Tempo Storm take this map, it will be Tempo Storm up against Hammers Esports in the finals, as Hammers took down, they took down, of course, Envision in the other semifinal rather quickly in a 2-0 manner. So might have another 2-0 on our hands. We'll have to see if CLG can battle back. Just waiting on the OK from Tempo, and it looks like we're good to go to get into our second map. I've got to ask you, Hurix, who do you have taking this second map here?
Man, I'm gonna go against the grain a little bit here. I think we're gonna be seeing CLG come forward a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's going to be close, and I think ultimately Tempo Storm right now has the better roster, but I think CLG is going to be able to surprise on this map and maybe make a little bit of an upset. However, I do think the safe pick is definitely towards Tempo Storm at the moment.
Let's see what we're going to have on the defensive side, as they did change sides. It's going to be Tempo Storm on the defense first up, with CLG making the push. And I think this could be the first map where we haven't seen Tempo Storm break out a Junkrat Symmetra on the defensive side.
This is the first. I mean, we have seen Symmetra-less defenses. We have seen, and I think that was only from Hammers Esports over on Numbani, but we'll have to see how this goes. Sleepy over on a Symmetra right now. Hui on the Zarya, and it looks like this is pretty standard setup. Sleepy over on the Winston, and that is going back over to the Ana. That makes a lot more sense. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Sleepy is the Ana, but nonetheless, he is going to make that swap. And offensively, we're yet to see what they've selected here, although I imagine most of this is going to be pretty accurate, with the going on to Ana, Miso likely on the Pharah. Hydration here. Okay, we are going to be seeing them go with a very aggressive comp. Look at this.
This is what they like to run, honestly. We see this from them sometimes as well. And I like this composition. I think it can work to get to that high ground, because with Tempo holding that high ground, it can be difficult to get around to that. And that can also be a staple as to why teams can't get that first checkpoint. So I do like this. Miso taking a little bit of pressure from Sleepy, though, in the skies. Got to be very careful of the Ana and 76 combo. Nonetheless, yet to actually make the move into that backline. I think a lot of that's going to be onto what Miso, Hydration, and Shiny can do. And Shiny already in the backline looking for Wolf and looking for Sleepy here. Wolf actually dangerously low, as Hydration is all over him. There's 2 kills coming through on the side of CLG, picking up Sleepy and Wolf. That's a great start here on the offensive side.
Really, really great start. If they can actually put some damage into Dream as well, all they really need to do is find that kill on Spo, and they've eliminated most of that sustainability onto the point. And it looks like Dream trying to stay alive here, getting a lot of pressure there. iShiny on top of him as well. iShiny might actually fall himself, but a lot of great heals coming out from the sports there from CLG to keep him up. And we do see Hydration in a little bit of a 1v1 scenario, but iShiny is going to help that one out as well. And these guys are working so well together right now.
Dream Casper finally finding that hook onto Waffle-tastic, who has just been running around untouched for the most part here. And they're trying to turn this one back around, but Miso with the barrage from above picks up 1 kill onto Dream Casper. Nano Boost came out there onto JKW, who has the Earth Shatter if he needs it, but the Dragon Blade from Hydration picks up 2 kills. There's the Earth Shatter coming through from JKW. He's going to be dropped into the ground as well, and I don't think that they're going to be able to hold on to this one. I believe it's just Spo on the point with the sound barrier, and you don't want to be dropping that solo just to hold the first checkpoint. So CLG coming out on fire here. I'm liking what I see from them, Hurix.
Hydration really setting the tone for them, of course, without dying, just putting the pressure in, finding those kills on the backline, putting the pressure on the supports. That's what they really, really needed to be able to allow iShiny the space to work with, to find the damage onto guys like Wolf as well, who have really come alive in this so far, in my opinion. Hydration, once again, getting a lot of ult charge there off the deflect coming from JKW's Fire Strike, and it looks like he's kind of swinging around the backside, trying to get his ult once again. If he can get it in 2 consecutive fights, that'll be huge for them to try to push it through to this next stage.
Dream Casper, of course, made the change over to the McCree and just found a pick, so gonna have to look for a regroup. Plenty of time, though, for CLG with 410 on the board. Not a whole lot to work with ultimate-wise for either team, but honestly, CLG didn't even really... I guess, honestly, Hydration, like you said, came up big there with the Dragon Blade, and he almost has it again. So if he can continue this trend, things are going to be looking good for these guys. Graviton Surge comes through there on the side of Tempo Storm. Dragon Blade now out for Hydration. Hydration picks up 1 kill. Sound Barrier from Spo as he tries to buy his team a little bit more time, but Dream Casper finds the pick there, coming up with a second onto Tracer. He is popping off right now as Tempo Storm going to be able to hold on here.
Dream definitely saving them a little bit, as Wolf typically is the front runner in terms of trying to put the pressure out, but Dream definitely kind of saving them, like I said, as Wolf did fall to Hydration's Dragon Blade and finding that kill on the Dragon Blade as well. Huge pickup for them, as he's found him again.
Yeah, I don't know what Hydration was doing. He just randomly walked out there. Sleepy got a hit and Wolf got the finishing touch there, and then they continued to file out one by one. Earthshatter follow-up from JKW. I'm really not sure what the thought process was there, but I mean, for Tempo Storm, that buys him another minute off the clock here.
Again in position alongside Dream, and they are getting ready for the next push here. iShiny already kind of pressured a little bit. Really going to come down to who can get those shields down, and we do see some aggression coming out from iShiny already, who...
Ooh, nano boosted Deadeye comes out. Gonna buy themselves a little bit of zoning potential, but nothing really comes of that. Deadeye, of course, you don't often see a big Deadeye by any means, but you don't really, he didn't really make use of the nano boost for the most part, as they were able to back off of that one rather easily. Nonetheless, 2 kills come through on the side of CLG, as they're actually looking to move forward here, almost finding that pick. Can they get the pick on the Lucio? Nice kill from Dreamcasper, who's again popping off on the McCree. Forced to back up regardless, though.
Trying to get himself into his position where he can actually utilize that ultimate, and he needs to get a couple of shots off before he can actually make use of this nice angle that he's gotten himself into. Looks like we do see Hui trying to get in on that Winston a little bit, trying to put some pressure down, already finding a little bit onto iShiny, but look at this nano boost that comes up, and I don't know, man, this is looking pretty aggressive there as iShiny brings down the Earthshatter as well into JKW, landing the pen as well.
That is a very risky play from Miso. Miso launched that Graviton Surge from downtown and luckily was able to connect onto a couple of guys. I think he knew he had it, but I think he was also hoping he could maybe grab an extra guy in there that really wasn't paying attention, because even so, it paid off for him. They've got the nano boost on the iShiny, who came up big with a nice charge and Earthshatter as well. So it paid off big time, but that was a very risky play, and it paid dividends for him here.
They are getting aggressive behind this shield. I think JKW wants the flash over from Dream, and they are going to go for it. They land it. Already opening up onto iShiny, who's at 1 HP, and he lands the headshot, finding the kill to open things up.
Hydration doesn't even need to use his ultimate, it seems. Sleepy is dangerously low, able to connect him, get some heals for himself with his own biotic, but nonetheless, CLG going to be able to move forward here on the defensive side. They don't have a whole lot to work with in terms of offensive pressure, aside from that nano boost. And they're probably waiting for JKW to get his ult charged up. A Fire Striker 2 should be able to get his ready to go, and as soon as that barrier's down, I expected him to actually make a move, but he's just going to back off of this one. Gotta be very careful of that ultimate from Hydration, though. They have to know that's ready. He hasn't used that in so long.
Without that ultimate now, as he did just use it just to zone them out, take some time off the clock. 2 minutes remaining. JKW missing that charge initially, but does have the nano boost to kind of back himself up as they're trying to find these kills.
He actually got reeled in there. He's going to be taken down, and again, Hydration finding himself not needing to use the ultimate, but they lost Shiny, and I believe they lost, might have been, I believe it was Miso, if I'm not mistaken there. So they were going to be forced back anyways. Don't really want to make a move without that Reinhardt here. And I think a lot of this is going to be on Waffle-tastic coming up with a big hook. Sleep Dart on the Miso, really not going to mean much, but I think they know that they can move in now. Not have to worry about that Sleep Dart for a little bit. There's the Dragon Blade Nano Boost coming out, looking for a kill. Can they find anything? The Nano Visor actually comes out from Wolf, if I'm not mistaken. Oh man, there's a huge Graviton Surge from Miso. One swing of the blade from Hydration helps them clean it up. They find themselves with the team wipe, and honestly, I think that's going to be it. I don't think they're going to be able to get back to this one, and CLG... There's a Tracer. Dreamcasper trying to do something. Earthshatter into the spawn. Not going to be able to get back. And CLG looking like a completely different team here on Route 66.
104 the time remaining once they actually locked in the map. And now they have an opportunity to defend here. We mentioned before a little bit that CLG is a team that can definitely compete. And certainly that Hollywood was a lot closer than I think a lot of people realized between the two teams. And it looks like this time they have gone the distance here and now need to defend their hopes to stay in the tournament, you know?
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, if Tempo Storm take this map, and it would still be quite some time before they were able to, we would have to see it played once again. If they take it, I mean, they're in the finals to take on Hammers Esports. So it's CLG trying so hard here to battle back, push it to a Game 3 on Oasis, a map that neither you or I have actually seen in a competitive match before. So that would be something... that would definitely be something. But we'll have to see what Tempo Storm have it in store for us here on the offensive side.
We do see Dreamcasper once again going over to that Roadhog, and a lot of people were curious about Roadhog after the changes, how it would affect him, because obviously chain break was a big thing. A lot of people thought that it was basically going to kill Roadhog a little bit, but because of the fact that it positions your character so very close and centered in front of Roadhog.
Like
He's
it's a
still
buff,
just as
pretty
good,
much.
if not actually kind of buffed
Yep.
in this patch a little bit because of the fact that he can kill people like Zarya now even aren't as much of a threat anymore if you can pull out that barrier before you actually land that hook. But nonetheless, you do see Sleepy over on the Zenyatta. JKW will be on the Reinhardt once he swaps over, and we do see actually defensively, look at this defensive strat actually from CLG.
Sleepy actually going over to the Ana. Didn't expect him to go forward with the Zenyatta. I think his Ana play has been outstanding today, so I wouldn't see any reason to make a change, obviously. But like you said, on the defensive side, what do you make of this? I mean, this isn't the best composition to be able to hold high ground. This is a composition you're going to go out and try to really aggressively find some kills.
Yeah, this is more attuned to what we saw Hammers do a little bit on King's Row, where it was very aggressive, just kind of put the pressure on them when they approach, just punish the mistakes that they make. But, I mean, in this matchup, it's going to be a little bit harder for them. It looks like they are going to get aggressive off of it. Ice Shiny getting very low, but should be able to find the kill on Dream Casper, and that is Hydration finding that in the end. JKW needs to be kind of wary of the flashbang that could pop up from Waffle-tastic, but it looks like he's not been aggressive so far, just kind of been hanging out on top of this gas station here.
Good start here for Tempo Storm. A hook from Dream Casper can really make the difference, especially if it's onto Ice Shiny and they lose that front runner. Nice pick from Wolf with the Helix onto Waffle-tastic, and again, Shiny going really aggressive, getting shielded up by Zarya. Is it going to matter though? JKW hit with a biotic grenade, unfortunately, and he's going to drop. Wasn't able to get any follow-up heals from Sleepy. And that could be Tempo Storm being forced to back off potentially here. This is one of the points on the map. I don't really think you need a Reinhardt to be able to push his payload forward. You've got so much cover from other obstacles on the map, but nonetheless, they're yet to pull the trigger, probably waiting for the Reinhardt anyways.
Ice Shiny forced to kind of back away from Wolf, who did just attack visor up, but we do see him nano boosted. He's just diving right into them once again, trying to put the damage in, finding that kill onto Sleepy and Wolf as he's pushing through, and they are wiping them up once again. This kind of weird composition is working out for them.
It really is for the most part here. JKW caught in a rough spot right now, and Ice Shiny is coming up big despite being one of the first people to die in that initial fight. He's not afraid to get very aggressive with the Winston. He's playing it perfectly here. 2 minutes now on the clock, and CLG, I mean, look at the ult stacking up on the side of Tempo Storm right now. They've got a lot to work with, but CLG, I mean, they're on the verge of potentially taking this map if they can keep up this momentum here.
They have a lot of ults to work with, but certainly so does Tempo Storm, and I imagine they have a really good method of using them coming up. We do see them sliding around.
Oh,
this,
that sleep dart,
what a
man.
nice Graviton.
Graviton Surge comes out there from Miso. Is there enough follow-up is the real question there. It's a 1-for-1 as Hui and Hydration are both off the map now. Primal Rage actually comes out as well on the side of Shiny, who's still, once again, just wreaking havoc as Sleepy gonna be taken down by Shiny. Somebody's got to deal with Winston, and another person melted down by Miso. So CLG, again, just on fire, continuing to move that payload backwards here, X. And they should be able to find these remaining kills onto JKW more than likely, and might even be able to pick up the last one onto Spo. He's going to be taken down, and I think they're just getting too aggressive on the side of Tempo.
TLG really putting the work in right now, and really kind of, I mean, even though I said this is what I expected, it is still kind of surprising to see the fashion in which they are actually accomplishing this. So right now we are seeing Ice Shiny with no ultimate at the moment, so he is going to have to be a little bit more defensive. He was very aggressive last time, jumping into that whole hog, trying to just kind of shield that out because he had that ultimate. He does have the nano boost though, as he did get Graviton, so
that's a big
he's not
one.
going to be able to have the damage from that.
Oh my goodness, Hui, that was a terrific Graviton Surge, and there wasn't like a massive wombo combo follow-up, but they cleaned it up regardless with the autos. Reinhardt was able to swing away at that one, and with 20 seconds remaining, they finally get that checkpoint. Now, if you're CLG, it's still going to be comfortable. You still 245 before that next checkpoint, and to get the final checkpoint is even harder here, so they are in a very comfortable position on the defensive side.
Definitely a lot of things to work with now, but still have to kind of worry about guys like Wolf and Dream, who we've been talking about all night here. A nice sleep coming out onto Dream, who almost got eliminated, and the pressure coming out to him. He actually finds the kill on Hydration through that flashbang. almost eliminating Waffletastic, but Wolf actually finishes the job, so they have a great opportunity here to take advantage of the 6v4 and engage off of this to push it through to that second objective and kind of catch themselves back up a little bit.
They're actually all just going to move back right now. They know they can't afford to lose anyone else. Just saying, hey guys, let's get a full regroup right now. We're okay. We've got the time advantage. We have a minute 4 on the clock. Even if they do finish this one, we're in a very good position here, as it looks like that was Miso trying to come around the corner, trying to find an opportunity to get some damage out there. Dream Casper again, hydration just being dropped, just finding him with the flashbang, and this is opening up a world of opportunity for Tempo Storm to now move forward. They've got the ultimates to work with if they really need to, but honestly, I don't even think they need to use this Tac Visor. Maybe want to use that Earth Shatter from JKW, doesn't even need it. There's the Graviton Surge from Miso as JKW is put to sleep. Wolf comes back with a couple kills with the Tac Visor, and there's the Earth Shatter. Ooh, JKW, I don't know about that one, buddy. He misses every which way, unfortunately, but in the end, all that matters is they get the checkpoint and they're going to be able to move forward and continue with that payload.
2:45 remaining, and pretty much, I mean, they are kind of looking now to be on pace here with CLG's offense now that they've worked themselves through to that second objective into that final stage of the map now very rapidly. Hydration almost landing a nice hook there onto Dream, but did wind up missing that one. Wolf and Dream, the two DPS threats on the side of Tempo Storm, are setting themselves up on this top side here in the rafters a little bit, and we do see them aggressing towards Hydration, putting a lot of damage into him already, and we should see him eliminated. He does actually fall as Wolf actually comes in to help out. JKW gonna find iShiny as well, and man, Dreamcaster's coming alive.
Dream Casper, we saw this on the on the defensive side. He did wonders, and once again, he's doing a terrific job here with Tempo on the McCree. 2 minutes still on the board. They've got, look, 4 ultimates, almost 5 ultimates to work with for Tempo Storm, and Wolf, if he's able to get a few more hits off, he could have that Tac Visor and end it all. There's the Graviton Surge coming out there. There's the Deadeye from Dream Casper. Picks up a kill onto the, not a bad pickup. Looking to finish off Hydration. Finishes him with the headshot there. Dream Casper once again coming up big. The iShiny drops his Shatter, but didn't really able, honestly, I don't think he connected with anything for the most part. Looked like it was pretty much shielded off by JKW, and that's going to be Tempo Storm more than likely coming up with a better time than CLG. 1:28 on the clock. What a performance from these guys.
Dream definitely doing a really good job of shutting down that Roadhog. That definitely would have been a huge threat if he had not been able to accomplish what he did. And on top of that, Hydration, pretty much it was just Hydration the entire time getting shut down a little bit by that McCree, because when he was on the Tracer as well, he was getting those flashbangs into the face while he was trying to be aggressive, which is just kind of the fact of playing Tracer into a McCree. I mean, you can't really blame Hydration for that, but certainly Dream doing the work that was required of him for them to be able to get a time like that. Now it's going to come down to pushing this payload, as it isn't that first point that it matters as much as it is the distance that you can travel. So minute 28, we'll have to see if any team is actually able to make it to that first objective, but nonetheless, I mean, this is not a lot of time to really kind of set yourself up. I imagine we'll see one really, really big fight with ultimates from both sides, unless it extends to overtime. But yeah, really, it's going to come down to the aggression that you see from those first picks.
And thankfully, we have the teams back on their proper names. For those of you a little confused in chat, for some reason there's a bug when the teams swap. The names don't actually swap. So what you see on the overlay is accurate, as now Tempo Storm is on blue, CLG is on red here, and we'll see what they have in store for us. Is once again, CLG want to go with that dive composition, and they did so well on the offensive side, but I mean, given such a, I want to say, poor performance from Tempo Storm before that first checkpoint, even up to the first checkpoint, they really turned it around there and got in their gears. So we'll have to see if they're continuing with the momentum on the defensive side here.
This time around, they have slotted Hui on the Winston to combat Waffletastic and Hydration, who have been very, very aggressive, especially Hydration on the Genji. They really need someone to deal with that, as he really came alive in the last one. He's putting the damage into Miso as well, and they're not able to find anything instantaneously. iShiny gonna fall pretty early on, though.
Dream Casper actually had his flashbang reflected there by the Genji, but there was no follow-up. He's looking for Miso. Oh my goodness, Dream Casper looking for the as well. The gonna get hit. Oh, doesn't even need the flashbang, man. This is the Dream Casper show. This guy is a monster on the McCree, and now they have 10 seconds to get back to this payload, and that's going to be a rough task. They're going to have staggered respawns, and this is looking like Tempo Storm's hold.
Oh, they spot him out. Hui just jumps right into iShiny. iShiny not going to have too much support here as Micah actually falls. And they're forced to run back. Overtime going to stay alive because of the aggression from the tank there. But Dream going to find the kill on iShiny. It looks like they're going to be able to close this one out.
They should be able to. Not able to get back to this one with too much to really work with. And ultimately, Tempo Storm with a very convincing hold here. CLG can still hold this. This is holdable. To be honest, they might have to play up a little bit. They might have to play that aggressive defensive comp they played before.
We'll have to see if it works. I mean, here's the problem. Now that they've shown their card a little bit, that was what made that hold so good, is that they showed their card early on, and we saw Tempo Storm adapt very well. Hui, of course, coming through with that Winston made a world of a difference for them to be able to hold on with some really nice defensive holds, allowing some spacing for Dream Casper to work with because he didn't have to deal with that Genji as much. Now, on top of that, we also saw the Pharah come out, and again, going into Dream and Wolf on that double hit scan, it does become a little bit of an issue, I think, trying to use that as well. So compositionally, they definitely were at an advantage going into that. Now it's going to come down to, are they going to have that same advantage compositionally? Are they going to be able to read that card going into this attack now, where we are going to be seeing iShiny over on the Reinhardt, actually, so they aren't going to be able to they won't be playing that same thing. They aren't going to be playing that Winston hold this time around, going for a little more of a standard play, but they do have hydration on the Mei.
This is all or nothing for CLG. If they lose this, they're going to be knocked out of the tournament, and it will be Tempo Storm in the finals against Hammers Esports. But if they manage to battle back, we'll head to Oasis. So 1 minute and 22 seconds is going to be the tail of this one. As Dream Casper going to be sticking with that McCree, definitely not surprised given his performance in the last round here. And, ooh, he actually comes through behind, almost takes down Hydration as the flashbang connected. And that Mei is going to be a pivotal part, I think, to whether or not they can hold on here.
Minute now remaining. It's going to come down to the next two fights. That wall not really accomplishing too much, but slowing down the pace of the game is very, very big deal at the moment. We do see the hook coming out, almost eliminating Miso, but iShiny coming in!
What was that? That looked like that was complete max range onto Dream Casper. I don't know how that actually connected onto him, but they do have time for a reset. No ultimates up for either side. iShiny and Waffle might have theirs. Actually, could have his up with another hit or two, so they might have the nano boost, and this is looking holdable for CLG.
Oh man, everybody needs to be patting iShiny on the back right now from CLG, because he came in and saved the day on that one. We do see hydration at 62% here, so definitely need to have that Blizzard at the ready. And, oh, is going to be able to take out Dream more than likely if he can land the shot. He just can't land it.
Oh my goodness, I don't know. They've got the nano boost in just a second. They're waiting to use it. Nano boost coming out there. It went on to it went on to Miso. iShiny actually completely whiffing his charge there, unfortunately. Sound barrier as well from Mika. The real question is, can they get anything with their own Graviton Surge? That actually comes out from Miso right there. Nothing really coming from it, and it looks like Dream Casper doesn't connect on anything. Earthshatter coming through. iShiny picks up 3 or 4. CLG going to be able to battle back into this one. JKW is actually hit with the Nano Boost. Blizzard comes out as well, but it's Pharah in the skies. Wolf, oh my goodness. It's a 1-on-2 on the point. Can he get back to it? He does touch it in time. Dream Casper is still here. It's a 2-on-2 on the payload. Wolf coming up with another kill onto the Lucio. It's just the Mei in the area. Mei going to be taken down, and the real question is now, Hurix, can they get back to the payload in time on the defensive side? Tempo Storm are just very close to being able to take this one. Tracer is now in the area. Tracer going to try and contest this one. Miso actually gets the recall back, contesting it, hit with the flashbang there. Waffle-tastic taken down. They now have the on point. The going to be dropped as well. There's the barrage from Wolf, and Wolf is the savior of Tempo Storm for this series. Hurix, they're going to be able to come up with the checkpoint, and they're going to be able to take this series 2-0.
Man, and that is definitely pretty disappointing, I would have to say, because hydration really should have been able to find that kill on the McCree, because that was the main problem that they were trying to deal with. Initially, he should have been able to find that pick so that they would have had that opportunity to go 6v5. They wouldn't have had to turn around and try to deal with the McCree, who did wind up ulting, and then of course not being able to find that kill later on as well. Hydration letting that one slip through the cracks a little bit, I think.
That was incredible. Gotta hand it to Wolf. I mean, we've been hyping up Dreamcasper on McCree, but Wolf just coming up clutch in the skies, man. And they are going to be moving into the finals to take on Hammers Esports. And honestly, coming into today, we didn't know what to expect from Tempo Storm, but now that we got to honestly see them at, I would say, their best today, beating out CLG there in that semifinal matchup. What do you think their chances are against up against Hammers Esports in our next and final match here?
I mean, now that we've seen all the teams compete, now that we've seen everybody that's been able to push through, I definitely am glad that it's going to be Tempo Storm moving on to fight Hammers Esports. I think that's going to be a very rough match for Tempo Storm, as Hammers Esports is far and away, I would say, the favorite going into this tournament. But certainly, again, we've been saying this every time Tempo Storm goes up against a team so far today, that it's just another opportunity for Tempo Storm to really kind of show off what they have to work with as a new roster here. And this is the same thing exactly. I mean, Hammers Esports have solidified themselves as a top team at that kind of semi-pro level, pushing now into that high-level pro scene, talking about like the top 10 NA, that kind of stuff. But it really comes down to Tempo Storm. They have some really good players, definitely looking very cohesive, especially between Wolf and Dreamcasper, finding those off angles and everything. And JKW definitely doing a lot of work at that Reinhardt v Reinhardt stage as well. So things are looking good for Tempo Storm. It's just a question of are they going to be able to compete with Hammers Esports, who are definitely reeling from just being so very competitive in the last few weeks, especially since being picked up by that organization.
All right, I guess that's gonna wrap it up here for our Hammers Esports Tempo Storm discussion, because honestly, this could go either way. Like you said, we've seen great stuff from both teams today. So we're going to head to a break, guys. When we're back, it's going to be the finals of the Haste not even invitational, Haste finals, I guess you could say. Tempo Storm up against Hammers Esports. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to the Haste Overwatch Finals. We are about ready to get into our final series of the day. Hammers Esports up against Tempo Storm. Almost going to get into this matchup, and I believe it is still, I think it's a best of 3 if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's still best of 3. We'll have to double check on that one. But about to get into the OW draft here. Initial thoughts on this matchup. You thought Hammers Esports going into this a favorite, if I'm not mistaken, here, X?
Yeah, I definitely think Hammers Esports is the favorite here going into it. I mean, the question is going to be, how much is Tempo Storm going to be able to get out of it?
Oh, it's best of 5, by the way. It is
best of 5 going. Okay, so that actually could make things pretty interesting here. I mean, Hammers, of course, like I said, definitely the favorite going into this. Tempo Storm, though, certainly kind of surging a little bit, I think, from some wins that are, I wouldn't say necessarily like surprising, but certainly some really, really cool wins under their belt already as a new roster that is coming together. Wolf, again, I don't want to keep praising the same guys, but I do want to say Wolf, Dream, definitely doing some big things, JKW as well. But I think certainly it's not just those 3 guys coming through and making the plays. Huey definitely has made a great couple of plays, especially on the Winston on Route 66. I think he kind of saved them a little bit on that defensive side going with the Winston. And I mean, Spo and Sleepy, their core healers have really, really been putting in the work. Sleepy, probably one of the best Annas we've seen all day. I think it's very, very safe to say that at this point. And honestly, it's just been really, really good from Tempo Storm so far, and I would like to see them do well against Hammers Esports here in a best of 5.
I really would as well. I'm not really sure what we're going to really get out of this one. We've seen both teams do great things today. As actually the OW draft has begun. Take a look at this one. Both teams doing great things today, but I feel like Hammers is really yet to be challenged today. Going up against Method, took that clean 2-0. We didn't see it on stream. Who knows how really close that was, but Method hasn't been doing the greatest as of late, so I feel like Hammers had that one in the bag pretty easily. Envision, that one was, they didn't even let them take a single point on them in the 2 maps that they played, Numbani and Kings Row, in that semifinal. So Tempo Storm, they've had, tough matchups. Gale Force is still a really strong team despite not coming out and looking their strongest today. CLG really took it to Tempo Storm. So I think, coming into this, I feel like Tempo Storm has played the tougher teams, but Hammers Esports is still going to be a very tough opponent here.
I think we do need to restart it. Looks like they have infinite bans at the moment, so I think we're going to have to restart it.
Infinite bans. Never, yeah, the OW draft is bugged, so I'm going to go ahead and get this new one set up here. And just a second. Anyhow. What are you expecting for this one? Hammers Esports to take this series?
Yeah, I definitely think that we're going to be seeing Hammers Esports take the series. I think since it's a best of 5, I want to say it's going to be a 3-0. If I was putting my money on something, I would say it was going to be a 3-0. Hammers Esports is taking it. Although, since we've seen a little bit more from Tempo Storm, I'm going to say 3-1 to Hammers Esports. I think Tempo Storm is going to be able to take a map here.
All right, we've got a new one going here in just a second, guys. Sorry about this. I don't know. Second time today, OW draft has bugged out on us. And we can get this one underway once Tempo is good to go with it. So you're going with Hammers Esports?
Hammers Esports,
okay.
3-1.
3-1, all right. I feel like I want to give it to Hammers. I really do, as this draft is going now. I think I'm going to give it to Hammers, but I think Tempo Storm, I think they've really showed us how good they can be. And this is as a team this is their first tournament. You got to remember that. And they're doing this well. I mean, I feel they can take a couple maps off Hammers right now. I think we're going to be going to a Game 5, definitely. But just knowing that this is their first tournament and that Spo, Dreamcasper come over from Spicy Boys, a team that was really starting to, click and really starting to get their names out there, and then doing this well here with the rest of this squad that are coming in, I feel like Tempo Storm is a team that is not to be trifled with, come a month or two down the line here.
All right, it looks like we're going to try it one more time. It looks like it's messed up. It's been working all day. I mean, it's been a little glitchy a little bit, but it has been working all day. We'll try it one more time.
Oh, man. Classic OW draft. If we don't get to do it here, We'll have to do it in the game chat.
I'll go ahead and preemptively set that up now.
All right, last try. This is our last try here. As I send this over to the teams. Too many bugs going on today. All right, let's see if this one works. As these teams are starting to ready up here, man. I hate when we have to do it in the actual chat.
Yeah.
All right, we're good to go. Let's see what happens here. Okay, mine's bugging out a little bit. Let me try to do this again.
Mine looks like it's working.
Okay, there we go. It's just a little delayed for us. Okay, hopefully this works, guys. Hopefully this works. As we are in our final draft of the day, and it looks like it's good to go for these teams. Hopefully I didn't just jinx it. Anyhow, not really sure what to expect map-wise from these teams. Hammers Esports, just given the fact Eichenwald and Hanamura are gone right away, they're probably going to be banning those ones that are pretty standard bans, not letting anything really slip through there. But it is a best of 5, so 1 or 2 of those could potentially make it down the line.
So far, we're seeing Nepal and Lijiang already out. Typically, Ilios follows, so I imagine that one's likely going to be nixed as well. Volskaya still on the board. Imagine that will fall as well. Hammers Esports likely to take that if Tempo doesn't right now. Oasis still on the board as well. I mean, overall, it looks like we're going to be going to, I would imagine, either Hollywood or Kings Row, and then Dorado in the mix as well.
Okay.
Maybe a Gibraltar pick. I would say a pretty low chance, but a chance nonetheless of having Gibraltar go through.
It's a map we actually haven't seen today. We've pretty much stuck with Dorado, Hollywood, Kings Row, and Route 66. I think that's actually all we've seen today, if I'm not mistaken. No, Numbani. Yeah. We saw Numbani once.
Yeah,
with
Numbani
Hammers,
one time, yeah.
But that was a quick one as Hammers took care of Envision on that. So not Hammers a whole lot of variety.
Yeah, Hammers is really, really solid actually on Numbani. So it's a good move from Tempo Storm, I think, to be able to take that one out of the mix. Volskaya likely to fall as well as Ilios, and will be coming down to more than likely it will be Hollywood, Kings Row, and then either Gibraltar or Route 66. We'll have to see if one of them wants to ban out one of those though, because I'm certain that one of these teams will feel more comfortable than the other on it. So we'll have to see if they eyeball that one. And it is going to be Gibraltar in the mix actually for Hollywood and Kings Row. So that is going to be the 3 maps. We'll have to see what they want to do up first. I always kind of envision Hollywood and Kings Row very similar map styles. The big difference, I think, being that the second point for Hollywood is certainly a lot more open, I think, than Kings Row. But we are going to be seeing Kings Row into Hollywood and then map 3 into Gibraltar. But actually, since this is a best of 5, we are going to be seeing Volskaya and Route 66 perhaps as well, right?
I thought it was Ilios, or maybe mine.
1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. Ilios
like
and then
Volskaya, hopefully not.
Ilios and then Route 66. There we go.
Is to Kings Row up first, if I'm not mistaken here. As it will be Hammers Esports on the defense first up, with Tempo Storm on the offense. Hammers Esports held Envision 2.A. I don't think that's going to be happening here on Kings Row. I think Tempo Storm's just a little too good for that to happen to them here. So we'll see what happens. Just looking at the map pool, though, I mean, I'm sticking with my 3-2 prediction for Hammers Esports. We'll see if that's going to actually happen. You went with a 3-1 for Hammers. We'll see. If you had to pick a map, though, out of what we've got, Kings Row, Hollywood, Gibraltar, Ilios, where do you see Hammers potentially faltering there?
Well, I think Hammers Esports has a really, really good first point hold, so I think that they're going to have the edge on Kings Row and Hollywood. Gibraltar things open up a little bit. I would say the map that they would have to lose, I think, would be either Hollywood or Gibraltar. Otherwise, we wouldn't even get to that fourth game. So, I mean, I would say probably Hollywood is the map that I would give to Tempo at the moment. But
is that just given what we saw from them?
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, just the fact that there's a little bit more ability for them to kind of flex their versatility, I think, on Hollywood, whereas Kings Row, it's going to be a little bit less so. So I would say at this point, we're going to be seeing, if I was to give a very, very specific call out, I would say...
That's what we like here. We like the
we're
specific
gonna
ones.
see... I would say we're going to be seeing Hammers take Kings Row, fall to Tempo on Hollywood, and then they'll finish the series out with Gibraltar and Ilios.
Okay.
But
Well,
even then, I still don't think I would be surprised by a 3-0 from Hammers Esports here.
all right. Well, now you got to call the scores of each map as well, just to get the super specifics. Wouldn't want to do that, of course. But anyhow, on the defensive side, Jake is back at it on the Winston. And something we had talked about earlier when we had saw Hammers in their semifinal matchup was their versatility on all these different heroes that they play. It's not like they just, a couple of their guys play a couple different heroes and they're really restricted. These guys can play pretty much anything for the most part. So wouldn't be surprised to see them come out with some, not bizarre, but, just a little out of the ordinary compositions from what we've seen from them in the past here, as Jake looking for a little bit of high ground with the Winston. On the offensive side, though, Spo starting out on the Hanzo, probably not going to be sticking to it. He's going to be dropping down and making a change.
I really like where Jake is actually standing up here on that second level and window, up on top of Cinema a little bit, and he is sneaking around a little bit, and they might have heard him there as he just jumped, but he is going to be able to jump right into the back of them, and look at this, just jumping right in, already putting the pressure down, does get purpled, but they can't turn because look at this, the aggression coming in from the front line. They've already found a kill on Wolf.
That is what I love from Hammers right there. As soon as the communication, the coordination coming out from them was just from that simple little strategy, Jake dropping down, the rest of the team flanking in from behind, and Super getting really aggressive, and now Super already has his ultimate. JKW's at 22% Heroics, and Super is just a couple percent off of having his. That is a terrific start for them ult-wise.
I think they know that he's up there now, and they are kind of jumping up there. They do... Looks like they did spot him. I'm not sure if actually Spo saw that. And they do land the hook. They should be able to eliminate him, and nice startup.
That's a big pick for these guys. Super looking to get behind that shield. Oh, another hook. His train is picked off from the side. You can't be having that. That's a big pickup for Dreamcasper. Nano Boost coming out there onto JKW. The charge. Oh, he gets hooked in. Super not even able to drop his ultimate, unfortunately. And Dreamcasper doesn't even need to be on the McCree to make a difference, man. He is doing a tremendous job right away with the Roadhog.
We are seeing them go back up onto the point, and we do see Dreamcasper pretty low, does get dropped there, and Hammers Esports are surging back in this one. Ball takes the kill on JKW, and oh man, it's back and forth here.
Attack visor actually from Wolf here. There's attack visor from Train. A huge Earth Shatter as well as Super pulls it back in. I don't know about that sound barrier from Spo. I don't think you... Like, you're not going to be able to hold off against a Tag Visor and a Reinhardt, who has two of your guys on the ground. Unfortunately, wasted that ultimate, but somehow Hammers, they battle back. 2 ticks on the board. You got to keep that in mind here on this side of Tempo Storm.
JKW is pretty low here behind that shield. They actually find elimination. Train finding that kill. He was doing this before where he just got very aggressive, just positioned in the back there, and man, they're just eating him alive now. They
really are. Jake pops the Primal Rage, splits him up quite a bit here, and honestly, gets some staggered kills. I mean, look how late they got that kill on the Hui. With 1:30 on the clock, I mean, they maybe have two good pushes remaining in them. Nano Boost ready to go. Sound Barrier as well on the defensive side. But offense, JKW is going to have to come up with a big shatter, and Dreamcasper has to keep up the good hooks he's been getting, because that's what got them those 2 ticks in the first place.
Train right now trying to battle for his position. They're going to slide around that backside. He gets nano boosted early, not able to really accomplish much with that. They should be able to zone him out, so that nano boost is more than pretty much just going to be nullified there, actually. He's forced to back off. He's going to go into that window over Cinema, though. Should be able to get a good position on them with that.
There's a Graviton Surge charge from JKW. Finds the immediate kill onto Super. They're going to nano boost the whole hog with Dreamcasper, who picks up 2 onto Vol as well. A couple of guys still on the point here on the side of Hammers, but Jake dangerously low. He's going to be taken down by the Roadhog, and Roadhog, time after time, it's just been Dreamcasper. They should be able to get this remaining tick, as it's just a Vast on the point. He's going to be taken down, and with 30 seconds remaining, they will come up with that first checkpoint.
Really good stuff from Dreamcasper. Time and time again, getting the picks that his team needs to be able to push forward. Not only that, but also being kind of a pillar for his team to stand around so he can soak up some of that damage, get some ult charge over to Sleepy, and then basically just kind of enable Wolf You know, that's the main thing, is that they want to enable Wolf as often as possible, because that guy really does put the damage down as long as he has the space to work with. And we do see Dreamcasper sliding in. I'm not sure if they see him or hear him at the moment. He's just behind them, goes for the hook, and he misses it!
Bigger shatter from JKW, though. The Graviton Surge from Vol reels them all in, but no follow-up. There's Train coming from behind, though, from the high ground, looking to get something done with the Tac Visor. The real question is, was it really worth of it? Nano Visor now out for Wolf. He's looking to finish off a couple people. Gets one onto Avast. Looking to finish off Vol. Vol almost taking him down. Forced to go get the health pack here. And what does he know? He runs right into Jake, as Jake made the change over to the Roadhog, of course. And they're still trying to hold this one off. They might be able to. He's going to force back Wolf. The hook from Jake. Able to find that kill for themselves. And Hammers Esports, a second time here. They turn the fight around and they hold on to that payload.
How Hammers just keeps battling back now. 145 on the clock, in a pretty good position here, as they do have both frontline ultimates there from Jake and Super to just kind of zone them off a little bit. If Super is able to get behind JKW and lay that Earthshatter down, it'll be big for them. But JKW has done a fantastic job all day today, just working against those and making sure that they're not able to get those big ultimates up. He is getting in the nano boost here. Super looking for an opportunity to land the sleep, and he lands the charge as well, taking him out.
What an Earthshatter. Oh, Earthshatter follow-up, but it doesn't hit the Roadhog. Somehow it looked like it nicked him. Unfortunately for Tempo, it doesn't even matter, as Super comes up clutch once again, and you got to hand it to Rob. Like you said, that sleep dart to set that up for him with an easy charge right into the wall. 1 minute on the clock, and they have a good majority of the streets phase to go here. This is going to be really rough for Tempo.
They've actually just been pushing this back to the archway. They're just not letting Tempo have anything here, and they managed to hold on to Jake's ultimate as well as charging Vol's up. Avast will have his soon, and ultimately they're in a pretty good position as long as they can get Vol's ult to drop down, not get eaten up by that defense matrix. They're going to be in a pretty good position.
Graviton Surge comes through there from Vol. The follow-up from Jake with the whole hog. Dreamcasper pretty much useless throughout that fight. He comes in from behind, misses the initial hook onto Avast, and I mean, if he had one hit or two hits, he could have had a whole hog, but it didn't matter. He didn't want to blow it, of course. Now 20 seconds, and Hammers Esports are going to get extremely aggressive with this, as they should. Now they're actually going to back off of this one. They've got ultimates. Both teams actually ready to go with some ults. We'll have to see what they're able to come up with. This JKW needs a big shatter. Super ready to go with his shatter. There's a hook from Jake. The shatter from JKW doesn't amount to really anything. The whole hog coming out there on the side of, I believe that was Dreamcasper, gets nothing, but it's Train from above with the nano visor, finds a couple kills for himself. Spo going to be taken down. Hui not going to last much longer as well. And Hammers Esports turn this one around. Wolf drops his sights at the end. Doesn't even matter, Hurix, and Hammers Esports hold on strong.
Honestly, Hammers Esports, the thing that's most impressive about this defense was that at all stages of their defense, they were solid. They didn't really lose that first point too quickly and then hold out in the street phase very well, or, you know, let things go a little bit in the street phase. It was just holistically very, very strong across the board. So really good stuff from them as a showing, a testament to their ability to play together against a roster like Tempo Storm, who's really kind of come up in this tournament today for us, and proven themselves as a very worthy team to be in the finals here up against Hammers Esports. But now it's really going to come down to if Hammers Esports can lock in this first point, because if they're going to be able to get that, then I think they're going to be in a really good position to actually win this map out and move on to Hollywood with that 1-0 over Tempo Storm. But they still have to get that locked in. We saw before how they go for a very aggressive dive strat, going with a lot of DPS. Rob 420 on the Zenyatta right now. Looks like they might be going for that. Super more than likely going to be on a Reinhardt or a Winston here. We'll have to see what everybody else is going to be going for, though. Train right now on a Hanzo. I don't think they would go with that without the...
Yeah, probably not. I don't see that happening.
That.
I think they're just toying around right now. Probably not going to be running too much. They might go with that dive strat. We've seen that from them in the past, but I don't know. A lot of what we've seen from Tempo Storm, especially that first push, the first two ticks on the checkpoint, I mean, a lot of that was on the back of Dreamcasper coming up with 3 crucial picks with the hooks.
Right.
He needs to keep up that moment. He needs to continue that. Otherwise, I feel like Hammers Esports are just going to roll over him, because I mean, even though he's a brand new member to this roster, most of these guys are, he's already showing himself as a staple to what they need to come out victorious.
Absolutely. And it does look like We're going to be seeing Train going over to the Tracer, so very, very aggressive composition once again here. Zenyatta is going to be sticking through. Not going to have the same amount of healing as they would with an Ana, but a lot more DPS. Looking to surprise the Tempo Storm roster at the moment if they can keep themselves up at the moment. A lot of damage coming into JKW as Super getting very low. Does actually fall there to Hui.
Ooh, Dreamcasper coming up there with a last-second touch on that hook, but nonetheless, Hammers Esports going to be forced to back off this one. They did lose Wolf, we got to remember, and Train now on the Tracer. Being a nuisance, he's just going to be dropped. Had the pulse bomb, of course, at the ready, so they've got that for the next fight. But ooh, Super actually running in there. Very surprising to see him get so aggressive. Of course, they don't have a Zarya to shield him up, but he was going in aggressive without the rest of his squad. As Hui is nearly fully charged, and they have to be very careful about this Zarya here. He pretty much melted the Winston last time, and going to look to do it again. Can they get the kill onto Super? He's going to get reeled in by Dreamcasper. That's what I'm talking about. Nice picks coming out here on the side of Tempo.
Curious to see if they're going to switch anything up. Dreamcasper, once again, just the hooks are on point at the moment from this guy, keeping the dream alive to hold on to this King's Row map. Train is going to make a swap. Jake going to swap as well. They were pretty close to ults there, but nonetheless decided that that wasn't going to work out for them as they were going to be battling against ults themselves. So they are swapping over to something a little bit to counter Dream out a little bit. It seems like Train has made that swap just to try to take that Roadhog out of the equation. He's running right into him too, and he gets hooked and killed.
Oh, the Zero Shatter coming out there from JKW with the nano boost from Sleepy. They reel in the kills once again here, X. And they actually don't force out. I don't think any ultimates were. I don't even think ultimates were available on the side of Hammers. Maybe Rob's was. I can't remember at the start of that fight. Nonetheless, 2 minutes on the clock, and this is starting to look like Tempo Storm could very well hold this.
2 minutes, still some time to work with, and if they do well enough on this point, if they can actually get it, they could just walk straight into the win. They don't have too far of a distance to go, but yet again, just a fantastic hold. We did see Train able to take out JKW and Jake able to pick off Dream, but they're going to have to be able to get back quick and put some heals onto Super, who's now pretty healed up already as he did manage to get that big health pack there, and they're going to be able to re-engage, hopefully without having to deal with Dream, but Dream is on McCree now.
Look at Wolf. Wolf is ready to go. He's coming in. He's going to flank from behind, looking for the attack visor. He's going to drop it down, a sound barrier to help him out, and the rest of the squad looking to finish off Train. Train, ooh, comes around. Sleep Dart, able to find the kill. Nice Sleep Dart coming through from Rob, but it doesn't matter as, oh, Train actually picks up a couple more, finds the McCree. What is going on here with this Reaper? I don't think it's going to matter. Actually, no, they've got the short spawn. I think if they can continue to find these kills, they could definitely come up with the point here. But a minute on the clock, it's going to force Hammers to actually go for the full regroup.
Looks like they are bringing everybody back in, as Spo was one of the ones that died. He's able to speed everybody up, but a nice Earth Shatter to open things up. Sleepy is going to fall, but a one-for-one trade as a fast goes down as well.
Super needs some heals. Didn't get any heals throughout that fight, unfortunately. Didn't look like Rob was in a position to be able to give them to him, unfortunately. And they pull back with a couple more kills, and this is looking like Tempo Storm could very well take this. 30 seconds now on the clock. Sound Barrier, the only ultimate ready here. Avast is going to actually open up with it, surprisingly enough, as Train actually going to go ahead and Shadow Step back into this fight. Almost has the Death Blossom. Could he break it out here? He's going to look to get something done. He almost has it. Finds the kill into JKW. Hammers Esports have turned this fight around here with 10 seconds on the clock. This is, honestly, that was a smart move from Tempo not to engage that, because they did not want to force all of them back to that long spawn with such a short distance to push the payload.
Ooh, Train caught in a little bit of a precarious situation. Gonna ult up, find the kill on Sleepy. If he would have been able to find the, he might find the kill on Wolf. He does.
What a pick coming through there from Jake and Train. And now they just, I mean, that payload is not far off. Let's take a look if I can find the perspective. Vol is actually the one sitting on it right now. And I don't think they're going to be able to get a 6-man regroup on the side of Tempo. Hui ready to go with the Graviton Surge. JKW almost ready to go. Look at the ults that are almost ready for on the side of Tempo. Can they get them ready in time is the real question. It doesn't matter. Graviton Surge comes through from Vol as he's going to melt one of them, melting a second one. Hui going to be taken down. Hui's Graviton Surge doesn't seem to matter. Yurix Hammers Esports just need to take care of Dreamcasper. They are going to be coming up with map number 1 here on Kings Row.
Barely coming. The 146 did not tell the full story of that map.
No, not even.
so close on that first point, but Hammers, like you said, coming away with a 1-0 now, going to be moving on.
Actually, Hammers won, guys. Don't forget about the little bug in the client here. Unfortunately, swaps the name. So Hammers, despite it saying Tempo, Hammers did come up with the W here. This is a best of 5, so we are going to be heading to Hollywood up next as well.
It looks like we're going to be moving now into Hollywood, and this is the map that I said CLG will, if they're going to take a map, it will be Hollywood, although Kings Row had me clinching a little bit there, I'll say, for a little bit. But nonetheless, we are going to be moving on to a map that I think is going to be very, very close, just as close as as the one we saw. But we'll have to see. I mean, Hammers Esports, definitely a team that is able to adapt and everything, so they could definitely come back up and make it a little bit more of a stomp the next time around on Hollywood. But I mean, Tempo Storm rather, a really strong roster that they have proven it today for sure.
All right, just getting the overlay readjusted here. As Hammers up 1-0, it will be a side swap, which means Hammers will be on offense first up with Tempo on the defense for Hollywood, if I'm not mistaken. And we saw Tempo earlier. This was the map that you said you think Tempo has the best shot at taking over Hammers. Just given, we saw Tempo, I believe, twice against Gale Force. They performed really well against Gale Force. Didn't even get the first checkpoint. And against CLG, they got the entire map with about a minute remaining, and they held CLG pretty close, if I'm not mistaken. I think CLG got the first point and then didn't quite get the second one, if I'm not mistaken.
So the thing about Tempo Storm on this map that I think is really good is I like the way that they approach the first point. I like the thought process behind it. The first point, when they're attacking, is just testing the waters, making sure or checking to see where everybody's positioned, getting that information and relaying it back to the rest of the team, and then kind of playing at how they retreat. Because the thing about this point is that there's no archway like in Kings Row where you can kind of pull back into, and there's a lot of room in the back for you to kind of pull out to. So that's close to your spawn. That just doesn't really exist on Hollywood as much. You kind of have to play that lobby a little bit if you want to play that way. So they basically try to go in and they try to get a feel for how they're going to pull back. Dreamcasper comes around that back alley, and if they try to play that lobby a little bit, Dreamcasper has a fantastic opportunity to play against that Reinhardt and get behind that shield and find those picks. If the Reinhardt decides to swap, the team can get aggressive, jump in on the Reinhardt, and find that pick themselves. So it's a very good way for them to kind of test the waters and try to get some opening picks and try to get it off that first push. If not, they can kind of switch things up, play from the top side up on Gatorade with, of course, Wolf and Dream playing very well together with the DPS and finding the picks that way. So they have a lot of great ways to just figure the other team out, and they pretty much are guaranteed to get the first point with the way that they approach it. It's really going to come down to how they want to defend. They did very well on the first point against Hammers on Kings Row. I expect them to perform similarly here, but their defensive style on this map is very strange. It looks like they're going to be doing it again with Hui over on the Junkrat. And this is very interesting. We saw Ultima Web kind of struggling a little bit when we saw them play this against them earlier when he was on the Pharah. And you would imagine, again, the Pharah do well against the Junkrat, just talking about composition like 1-to-1, who does well in those kind of dually matchups. But the problem is that Wolf and Sleepy, as we saw on Dorado as well, have really kind of come together, and they're able to take Pharahs out of the sky with ease. I mean, really putting in a lot of damage onto those guys, putting down a lot of pressure onto whatever Pharah is up in the sky. We'll have to see if Jake is going to be able to outperform in that department, but it's kind of hard for them actually.
I think that honestly, going into this, looking at what Hammers is going to be running right now, I think that they're going to do. I think they're going to be able to do pretty well against going up against this Junkrat and Symmetra combo. Now, if they fail this first push, if Spo, the last couple of times, Spo has not got his ult charged quickly at all. It's taken him at least a team fight or two. So if they're able to get that charged up rather quickly, if they do hold off a push, I think then it's going to turn in the favor of Tempo Storm here. But we'll have to see what's going to happen with that Pharah. Not going to have a Pocket Mercy, of course. They know the Symmetra is now on the table, going with that triple DPS setup on the side of Hammers. I like what I'm seeing here on their side, but Tempo Storm, I also like it because this worked out for them really well in the past.
Problem is that they're going to be really susceptible to the Martyr, actually, if they dive in on that. We'll have to see if they're going to be able to get the kills. Already, Jake very aggressive. And look, Jake already down to about 60 HP. Wolf was just very aware of that pick. Just jumped in. Hui already found a kill onto Rob 420, and that's just slowing down the pace a little bit of their approach already.
And that's what I'm talking about. If they can hold off one push on that side, Spo's only at 30% HP, not really where you'd want to be, I'd say, at this point. I mean, you're about 45 seconds in. Hammers is yet to make a real assault on this checkpoint, but we'll have to see. Nice pick from Wolf onto Train, lands the Helix at the feet there, and they peel back a couple of their own as Hui and Sleepy get dropped. And fortunately for them, they find another pick as Dreamcasper is coming up clutch with these hooks once again. That's exactly what they're going to need on that defensive side.
Come here and get stabilized.
Jake has been trying to find some kills for himself here, trying to put in some damage onto that back line, trying to find a couple picks on the supports. That's the main goal here, so that they can kind of open this side up a little bit for themselves. And he's going to get aggressive once again up on top of this roof, slide into the back, and try to take out these turrets, it looks like. And they're already trying to find that kill on Wolf. They do find it, and Jake almost going to be eliminated there by Dream, who hooked him. Not able to find the kill, but Jake and Rob coming up big with 2 kills already. It looks like they are going to be able to get this first point here.
Jake narrowly avoiding. Oh man, they use a Transcendence as well, surprisingly enough. I guess they want to kind of get away from Dreamcasper, who's still on the point. Riptire's out as well. Hui, no, not able to find anything with the Riptire there on the defensive side. And Spo, I mean, he didn't get his ultimate off. He just made the change over to the Lucio as well. So that's Symmetra pick, not really paying anything off as Hammers Esports come up with the first capture point. 4:30 left on that clock still.
We are going to be seeing some swaps now. Diva actually being picked up by Hui. Diva being picked up by Train. So now Diva's on both sides here. Super going to make the swap, likely over to the Reinhardt. Jake going to be swapping over to the Winston here. So triple tank setup. Hammers Esports. Classic strat now.
We'll have to see what they're really going to get done with it. I mean, they've got to protect Dreamcasper on the defensive side. Dreamcasper has been a massive playmaker for these guys. Let's take a look at Wolf. Wolf almost ready to go with his tac visor. They've got the nano boost. It's going to come down onto him. Sound barrier at the perfect time from Avast. It doesn't even seem to matter as he's going to be taken down. And Wolf picks up 2 kills, finds a third onto the Winston midair with the Helix. Nice pickup from him. They're going to be able to hold on and live another day. Once again here on the defensive side is they really need to buy themselves some time. I mean, coming into that next checkpoint with 4:30 on the clock, that's a lot of time to work with for Hammers.
Do you see Hammers Esports readying themselves? They need to get on top of that high ground pretty soon, on top of Saloon there. If they want to push, they really need to push them off. And that's going to kind of come down to Jake and Train to be able to work their magic there. And they do boop them off a little bit there. Jake getting dangerously low, though, in the process. And Super actually gets put to sleep. A nice Earthshatter coming down.
That was all off of that sleep dart from Sleepy. And JKW racks up a few kills. They get the team wipe. Is Jake going to be dropped in the end by Wolf? Now, well, you see 3 minutes on the board. And thankfully, not really any ultimates actually expended there on the side of Hammers Esports. They still have the Dragon Blade. They've got the Nano Boost, so they need to use that wisely here. Spo, though, is getting close to having the sound barrier. So honestly, it's in Hammers' best choice right now to go in rather quickly here.
This game is very much about momentum, and certainly the momentum is very much in favor of Tempo Storm at the moment. But Hammers Esports looking to shift that a little bit with Vol just chasing Wolf around in circles. They finally find that kill, and Jake is going to return back. They need to kill off Dreamcasper. And somehow we do see Tempo holding on a little bit.
Dreamcasper going to be taken down by Jake, but like you said, he just chased him in circles around the crates. Now Jake getting pretty aggressive here, looking to get on the Ana, but the Diva going to step up in his face here, and they find the kill, and the Diva paying off here on the side of Tempo Storm for the most part. 2 minutes left on the clock, and Hammers Esports still have some work to get done before that next checkpoint.
It's like Tempo forced to back off, not going to be able to solidify the kill on Train. Actually, they do manage to get him out of the mech, and that's a nice pickup because now Train's going to have to go back and switch real quick to get his mech back, or he's going to have to try to get his mech back up, which is going to take time off the clock. So really good stuff from Wolf to be able to solidify that mech kill.
JKW ready to go with another Earthshatter, and if this next one is anyone like the last one he had, where they found that sleep dart on the super, which opened up an opportunity for them to move in, it could be big for these guys as they do get back in the mech. Sound barrier comes down on the defensive side. Honestly, I don't know about that one. No one really made an aggressive move other than Super, who actually charged onto the payload and didn't actually get really aggressive with it at that. So nonetheless, they're going to continue to pressure this one on as they're looking to finish off the Genji. Genji able to get out of that one alive. And Hammers Esports, again, going to be held off. But look at the ultimates stacking up for both these squads now.
Ooh, Jake finding the kill on Dream to open things up. He might actually fall himself, though. Not in a good position at all, but he does have the Primal Rage, and we do see Train going forward with the self-destruct, not going to find anything, and they're looking to hold on here, and Earthshatter comes down.
Earthshatter was ill-timed as he didn't manage to connect onto anything because Jake was knocking him all the way back, and they're going to be able to find that kill now onto JKW. It's just Hui in the area. Dreamcasper might be around the corner if I'm not mistaken, or no, he's just backing off of this one. Notice that checkpoint's lost. 30 seconds on the clock. And I think Hammers should have this. Maybe. Nope, they're able to get back to this one. I think they should be able to. No, not going to happen. They're going to continue to get aggressive. And they find that late pick on the Dreamcasper. Not going to mean a whole lot other than ult charge.
Do you see them pretty aggressive off this? JKW somehow holding on, but he does get eliminated there finally by Jake, who's able to press that shield with that Tesla. And now he's going to go up top alongside the Genji. That is Vol. They're just trying to set themselves up to be able to push this very far. We saw Tempo do this last time in this map, but this time it is Hammers Esports taking advantage and pressing it as they're just moving their way through the studio at the moment. Dragonblade at the ready here. Rob 420 ready to go ahead and nano that up if they decide to put those together.
There's the Dragonblade nano boost, not actually coming out onto Vol. Rob not actually using it at all in this fight. Questionable call on that end, is only one kill with the Dragonblade came through. There's the Earthshatter from JKW. He's going to be taken down, but Vol also dropped in the end as Baby Diva is out here. Vast gets hooked in by Dreamcasper, and Super might as well just go ahead and hang it up, as I don't think he's going to be able to come out. Oh no, he actually does come out alive. They pull this one back thanks to Train actually coming back and helping out his teammate there. Sleepy still in the area along with the Diva as Jake dangerously low. He's finally going to be taken down here in the end as there's the self-destruct coming out from Train. Train able to find one kill onto Hui. JKW also going to drop. They could actually win off this here. Dreamcasper has his whole hog. He's going to pop it out here, looking to get behind that Reinhardt shield. The sound barrier actually comes through as well from Avast to be able to save him for the time being. 20 seconds left on the clock as Dreamcasper is taken down here, and this is going to be a stagger to the finish for Tempo Storm. Kills keep coming in here on the side of Hammers Esports. JKW comes through. Pulse Bomb not actually connecting onto him from Vol, but nonetheless, all they need to do is finish off the Primal Raged Winston, and that should seal the deal for him, as no one else is even on the payload here other than what seems to be Diva. And this is honestly a very long hold by Tempo Storm, but finally Hammers Esports come through it in overtime, and that's actually pretty big for Hammers, for Tempo Storm to be able to hold them off into the overtime. But nonetheless, Hammers, I mean, they get another shot should Tempo Storm finish this one.
Really, really good stagger at the end there. Dream just holding on. Obviously, a lot of times you'll see players just kind of diving in, just trying to support it, maybe hoping for a little bit of a momentum shift to be able to hold them out and prevent it. But they knew it was just a matter of time. They were going to be losing that one. So good eye from Dream to be able to hold on and just say, you know what, I'm just going to stick it out. I'm just going to wait. Once my teammate dies, I'm going to dive in just to try to get it to that overtime. And they did manage to get at least that. So that was definitely a good hold from them, pushing it to that OT. Now they have an opportunity to push through and make a time of their own. And it is important to note that that is incredibly important.
It really is. I mean, thinking about this, Tempo Storm is really, to me, what I've seen today, it's been really on and off. They've showed us some really strong points, and then they've just kind of faltered, especially that first checkpoint. I mean, Hammers Esports had a lot of time, 4:30, and then what do you know, before that second checkpoint, Tempo battling back, buying themselves a lot of time. I think there was 30 seconds on the clock before Hammers Esports got the second checkpoint, and then Hammers Esports turning it back around and coming up with the third one. So I feel like Tempo Storm, they need to pick it up a notch here on the offensive side. And should they finish this one, I believe, with a minute or more, that wouldn't give any time to Hammers Esports to actually finish it. So that's their goal right now. We'll have to see if they're able to come up with it.
Looks like pretty standard setup. They are going with Hui right now on the Diva, though, to start things off on their attack, which I think is interesting. Nonetheless, we do see a Vast over on the Torbjorn, which again is something Hammers Esports does quite often, especially for these first point holds. We see it time and time again from them on Numbani, but this time it's going to be on Hollywood. We'll have to see how he does this time around. Worked out really well for them last time. He does manage to get 20% ult charged up, and I really like the position of the second turret over here on the stairs behind the little bushes over here. Really good positioning for him to hold out that main.
20% is definitely not a bad way to start it off as the Torbjorn. That could definitely be lower by all means. Here is still pumping it up. He's at 60%. Man, this Torbjorn pick is already coming up. I mean, big for him, but Vol actually dropped. So is Super. So Super picked up one before he was taken down, and he's got the Molten Core if he wants to drop it. They've got to be careful, though, because they are down a couple of extra guys, and that spawn isn't super far, but if they can continue to find the kills here. JKW going to be dropped by Train as well. That's a nice pickup for these guys, and they don't actually have to use that Molten Core.
Fast needs to set down his turret pretty quick. It looks like he's going to set it at an off angle, perhaps, although he is kind of switching back. I'm curious to see where he wants to put it. He hasn't even... Alright, he is going to be putting it back in that same spot over on the stairs. Does have his ultimate ready, just getting the armor to everybody. The only person who doesn't have it right now is Jake, but honestly, it doesn't really matter that much. He's going to be soaking damage anyways, so...
Sleep Dart not quite connecting from Sleepy there. He almost has that nano boost. Not a lot to work with, though, unfortunately. There's the nano boost coming out on the side of Hammers Esports. And they're going to be able to find a couple kills for themselves, as Jake was the one to come up with two. Diva's going to be out in mech as well, and Hammers Esports are showing no signs of faltering aside from that initial push. They've got their feet underneath themselves. 2:15 left on the clock here.
Overall, a really nice start, and still kind of ahead in terms of ults. Fall pretty close to having that Graviton once again here. So ultimately, I mean, in terms of that economy, they're performing quite well. And that's a big thing for Hammers Esports. They're very good at knowing when to hold those ults, when they're kind of at an advantage. And that's because of that little switch that they made to their comms. The fact that everybody's calling a little bit, just that communication is key for them.
There's attack visor from Vol. Train trying to come around the backside. He's actually hit there. Super comes through with a big earth shatter. There's the charge. Finds JKW, who we dropped as well. In the meantime, they get the late kill onto Spo. They drop quite a few ultimates on both sides, but it pays off. They still do have that attack visor from Train. They've still got Jake's as well. So Rob also didn't even have his nano boost, and they've got that at the ready. So this is looking very good here for Hammers Esports to make a hold.
Rob going to be able to sync up with either Super or Train with that nano boost, and going to have a lot of control here. Wolf making the swap over to that Reaper, trying to take down Jake. This is kind of a similar setup that we saw on the first point. Self-destruct just going to go straight over the building and not find anything initially, but...
Nano visor coming through there from Train, a little late on that nano boost coming out from Rob, but he was actually zoned out by the Diva ultimate, and again, they come through with the kills. Wolf made that change over to Reaper, as you can see, but Wraith form doesn't get him out alive. 31 HP, no Train comes through, but the side finds that staggered kill on a very late kill on a Dreamcasper, but with 40 seconds, you know, you've got time. Tempo Storm, it's not a long walk by any means. They've got time to get a regroup, and they are going with a Bastion.
Oh man, that's
and Jake on a May as well, so both of them. And I think a lot of this is going to be on Super with his ultimate, if he can find it. Onto the stationary. Oh, there's the Bastion dropping down.
Oh,
nice wall from Jake. Oh my goodness. The May, the perfect pick for this situation here. The Earthshatter comes up, able to find one, actually puts Dreamcasper onto the ground if I'm not mistaken. But Wolf finds the kills. He gets Super in the air. They come up with the kill onto Jake, and their hopes may still be alive with the desperation Bastion pick. Man, Avast gonna drop down. They will be able to come up with this first checkpoint.
Man, when desperation just works out in your favor here, they're going to set it up on this car and be able to push this a little bit. Looks like they are going to be sticking with this, and
wow,
they're going to keep JKW on the point with him and hold on to this strat. Seems like we'll have to see if anything changes on the side of Hammers Esports to deal with this, and they have gotten high ground now, and staying far away from the Bastion, I think, is definitely going to work out for them because that spread is actually ridiculously big. So perhaps taking advantage of that might be something that works out for them. Wolf
actually, oh, nice pick. Dreamcasper comes around with the whole hog. I think he was expecting people to actually be there. Vol was taken down in the meantime, and Rob going to be dropped as well. So the Bastion pick coming up surprisingly well for these guys. He almost has tank ready as well, if need be, but you know, with limited time to actually get this second checkpoint, they're doing fairly well for themselves, and finding a late pick on a train buys even more time here.
The thing about a Bastion pick and trying to defend against it, you have two choices. Either get very aggressive and jump on top of it, or stay at range until you get the pick. And it doesn't look like they're going for a composition that's going to get those picks. They don't have the shield pressure to eliminate the President there, but they really need to get aggressive and jump on top of it. Maybe with a Genji, they do have that pick, and they are going to roll in deep on it. Purple, fire grenade onto him as he's in tank. 19 HP, still somehow staying alive. They do finally find that kill, though. And
honestly, I was out for this. Oh, man, Spo actually comes through with a punch on the train. Gives him a nice whack there. But Vol actually, they want to make sure they hold this off. They're going to go ahead and nano boost him up there, find that kill onto Dreamcasper. But you got to think about what just happened for Tempo Storm on the offensive side. They virtually ran from that first checkpoint almost to the entirety of the second checkpoint without a single team fight coming in their way. It's just, they found the picks. They found the picks coming through from Dreamcasper. Wolf did make the change back, though, off of that Bastion pick.
And I think that's good for them to make that swap, because it is pretty easy to counter it out. Once you get aggressive, especially when you're trying to push that objective, you can't really jump on top of it a little bit and try to contest that. It worked out as like a little surprise tactic on that first point, and they were able to run it through that. Oh, JKW, nice double Earthshatter coming out from both Reinhardts, actually.
And Hui, so lucky he was caught. He was actually on the outskirts, just in the building, just out of range of that Earthshatter that came through from Super there. And they're going to be able to rack up the kills. And again, in overtime, they will buy themselves a minute 30. A minute 30. Do you think they can do this? This is going to be tough for them.
I don't think it's going to happen, personally. I mean, I'm glad it got this close, and I would love for them to be able to push it forward, just, you know, for my prediction's sake, you know. But
well, we always know that's going to, well, I guess my prediction's sake as well, but who cares about those, to be honest? Just guesses, given this Tempo Storm roster is brand new, to say the least, and doing this well against a well-practiced Hammers Esports squad. No matter how this goes, they've got to be pretty content with their performance today. But nonetheless, there's the Graviton Surge into the Dragon Blade. They're just going to be able to rack them up. Don't even need an Earthshatter from Super, who just actually got it. And oh man, Spoke comes back with a kill onto Jake, but Train falls through onto JKW, and this is going to be one final regroup for Tempo Storm.
I actually don't really like the sound barrier that they just used there. Spo putting that one out, but they're so close to their... They had so many ults come out. You weren't going to come away with that just everybody living, because they didn't have Dream to zone everybody off. So you're so close to your spawn. There's no real point. I would have liked to have had it in this fight here. Just take the kills. But nonetheless, we are going to be seeing the Nano Boost come out onto Train. He's trying to look for kills already. Jake and Super already finding kills off on the tank, and that's going to allow Train to just come alive, finding the kills. And they do wipe them up. 8 seconds remaining. That's going to probably close it out.
Tempo Storm gonna try to get back here in time. Spo not gonna be able to do just that. So it will be Hammers Esports going up 2-0 in this best of 5 finals today. One map away as we head to Watchpoint Gibraltar for our third map, potentially final one. Otherwise, it's gonna take a reverse sweep here for Tempo Storm to be able to come back and take this series.
Gibraltar is gonna be a fun one. I imagine Hammers Esports is gonna be able to take that one as well. I feel like that's the case. But we'll have to see. I mean, it's been pretty close across the board. Both maps actually have been very close across the board.
This one was a little bit closer than anticipated, given how long it took Tempo Storm to actually come up with that first checkpoint. But they did it. They got the job done, or rather, Hammers Esports got the job done. Now 2-0 in the series. And moving to Watchpoint Gibraltar, the first time we actually get to see this map today. You predicted Hammers would take it. And seeing them right now, are you going to stick with that prediction and expecting a 3-0 for them right here?
I'm expecting a 3-0. I'm very pleased with how close it's been so far. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Tempo take a map right now. But I do expect it to be a 3-0. I do expect Hammers Esports to be able to do very well on this map. The good news for Tempo Storm going into this map is I think that they're going to be able to compete very heavily on this one. This is a map that I think that they're going to be able to contest very well. Hammers Esports offensively is very, very solid, and then defensively, their first point is what really impresses. The thing about Kings Row that was really surprising is that after that first point, they were still very, very solid on their defense. If they can hold out in much the same way as they did on that second stage of Kings Row here on Gibraltar, which has a little bit similar of a style, just with a little bit more verticality, then I think Hammers Esports is going to be able to walk away with this one. But not without a fight at all, because Tempo Storm has definitely put one up for them here in the finals.
They certainly have, and like I just said, what do you take away from this as Tempo Storm? Well, we're going up against a Hammers Esports squad that just won the Alienware Monthly Melee a couple weekends ago, took down Luminosity I don't know how many times, 3 times, beat out multiple other top teams there. And actually, one of them included Dream Casper and Spo. And then to go into this and do this well, I mean, they're down 0-2, but, these are decently close games and their first tournament. So got to hand it to them for what they're able to do here today, coming into this tournament pretty much last minute, to be quite honest here. As we are geared up for our third map here, will be Hammers Esports on the defense with Tempo Storm on offense. I know that earlier they had mentioned they wanted to be on offense since the other team got the extra ban. And I think them being on offense, I think that's what they want to do. I think that's where they want to be first up to see what they can get done. And some teams have that preference of wanting to be on offense first, and we'll have to see what they're able to make of it here. This could, this is potentially our final map of the day here with Watchpoint Gibraltar if they manage to take this map, Yerks.
It feels weird that Tempo Storm, I mean, their hopes of hanging on to their stay in this tournament right now in the Haste finals, presented by Overguard. I mean, they could come to a close after this map. We'll have to see. I mean, Hammers Esports definitely looking like they're going to be able to close this one out. But like I said, hasn't happened without a ridiculous amount of fighting from Tempo Storm, to the point that I've actually been quite impressed here. When we heard that Spicy Boys wasn't going to be competing in this tournament and Tempo Storm was going to be replacing them, we heard a couple of the roster changes that Tempo Storm was going to make. We were very hopeful, but I don't think either of us expected this initially from this roster from Tempo Storm here, to be able to just come through like this. And while they are down 2-0, they have...
I mean, look at who they beat today. Yeah. I mean, they 2-0'd Gale Force, they 2-0'd CLG, and that one was extremely close, especially that second map. Big turnaround there. So, regardless, we'll see what they're able to take out of the bag here and see what they're able to get done with this composition. As they do spot Vol. Vol actually the one to be breaking out the Winston here. And Winston has been a big staple to the Hammers Esports composition today.
Really has, and a lot of it has been Jake, but it's actually Jake right now on the Roadhog, and he nails Dream Casper.
That's a nice pickup, and Jake showing what he's able to do with that Roadhog. Played Roadhog pretty much the entirety of the last patch for these guys, so he has a lot of experience with it. And finding that
actually says, you know what, I'm not even going to deal with this. I'm going over to McCree, and he's been phenomenal on it so far, but he has made that swap over after they have gotten the initial information of what Hammers Esports is running on the defense, hoping for a little bit of some flashbang action onto this Roadhog. Try to eliminate him, perhaps onto the Ooh, a nice hook onto JKW to pull him out. They get a little bit of control over the fight. They should be able to eliminate Spoke here, but he gets around that shield, and he does drop anyways to Super there on the Reinhardt. But they're still in a nice position here. Jake trying to land a hook. If they can get a pick, they will solidify this hold, but still need another one before they can close this one.
I mean, they're all sitting back in the server room right now, and they're waiting for their 6 to get back up here. Hammers Esports don't want to be too aggressive with it. They're just going to back on up. They see Rob around the corner here. Rob almost having that nano boost at the ready. Let's take a look at Vol. Vol actually trying to get into the back line here. And this is a very dispersed fight. They've got them kind of encased in that server room area for the most part here. And Vol looking for an opportunity to pounce on them. And he's going to go for it right now here. Tac Visor coming out there from Wolf. Wolf picks up 1 kill here. Taking a look at him, I don't think he was able to get too much else off of that. Got nano boost. Nano boost actually comes out onto Super as well. So 1 kill in the bag off of that nano visor. Gonna try and finish off Bull, as well as we actually see Jake pop out the whole hog, picks up a kill, and Hammers Esports might have turned this one back around. They're gonna continue on to the 76. Oh man, Wolf so close to being able to get out of this one. He doesn't quite do it as Vol just sits on his tail, man, and Hammers Esports pull it back in their favor.
And Super turning his Fire Strike into a little bit of a sniper rifle, hitting Sleepy across the map to solidify that stagger as well. So good job from them. They're able to make a pretty convincing hold so far. Train now in position with Rob. This is the first time in a while that they've been able to get back into their actual default positions for a defensive hold. As long as Rob 420 and Train can maintain their position up here, I think they're going to be in a pretty good position, especially with Vol charged up and Avast as well.
We've seen some big shatters from Super today, for certain, and we'll have to see if he's able to come up with another one here. Hook not quite connecting out from Hui. I think this is the first time we've seen Hui on the Hog today, if I'm not mistaken. Ball actually dangerously low. They almost find that pick onto him, and look at the positioning. They're really going for the high ground, but that's going to allow for Hammers to back up towards that payload and push it further back. Even at that, Sound Barrier now coming through on the side of Hammers. Avast coming through with that one. Dreamcasper up top, though, with the Deadeye. Can he find anything? Trying to get the kill onto the Winston. Doesn't connect with a kill. Does hit him in the end. Finds the... Oh, man, finally gets him there with the fan. The Hammers. Rob is dropped as well. But it looks like Hammers Esports are going to be able to force him back here, X.
Oh, and that was pretty close, actually, that we do see a nice hook coming out onto Hui.
Wow,
and Train actually finding that kill on Sleepy. But it was actually kind of a good thing that Rob 420 actually wound up dying there, because he was... Or was it Rob 420 that died there?
It was as well.
No, it was Rob 420 that wound up dying.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of good that he did die, because he was trying to nano boost up on Train, but because he died, he wasn't able to get it off, and now they're going to have it for the next fight. They didn't even need it.
Here we go. This is it for Tempo Storm. Wolf already has the monkey on top of him there. Winston not letting him have any of it. There's the attack visor from both teams, but the hook coming through. Earth Shatter from Super. Can he find the follow-up as Wolf is tossed up into the air there? Gets hooked in. He's going to be dropped here by, I believe that was Jake, and Jake finally eliminated by Hui, but they're turning it around. Hammers Esports should be able to finish off the Roadhog. There's the charge straight into the wall, and Hammers Esports, a terrific hold. Dreamcasper not able to get back to the point in time, and now they've got their work cut out for him here. This could be it. Hammers Esports, all they need to do is get close to that last elbow, and they will be able to come up with the series win.
I think that pretty much solidified it. I mean, it would be really impressive if they were able to hold out Hammers Esports at that particular location. It's pretty close. It's not that far of a distance that they have to actually travel underneath that bridge. So I would say Hammers Esports, with that defense, more than likely locked it in for themselves as a 3-0. And it is a lot it is a lot more in favor of Hammers Esports in this map than the other two that we have seen. Gibraltar's just kind of a map like Numbani, where Hammers Esports really performs quite well on. For some reason or another, they just work really well on those maps where they get to utilize that Winston and have a little bit more play with the verticality of the map.
I mean, look at that distance. That is a team fight. That is one team fight. And you can't really afford to... it's difficult on this map, I think, because you might want to say, oh, let's just play up a little bit more, and you might be able to get a little bit of poke, but as soon as they come around the corner, they can duck under and go underneath the bridge there. I don't know. This is a really tough spot, like you said, to hold for Tempo Storm. I'm not really sure what to expect from them. I honestly, given what they're just going to go with pretty much what they're running before, Dreamcasper is going to have to come up big for these guys, because him, like the rest of the team, has kind of been off and on today.
Looks like Vol's going to be back on the Winston for them. Worked really good defensively. We'll have to see if that's going to perform just as well. This time Jake going to be on the Genji. And we saw, I mean, this is another point to bring up, is that a big point of concern with Hammers Esports was that they weren't going to be able to perform when it came away from that 4-tank meta. And I think we've seen so much versatility from Hammers Esports today to kind of disprove that a little bit. Jake on the Genji right now. We've seen him on Pharah. We've seen him
Winston,
on the
Roadhog.
We've seen Train on several different things. We've seen him on a Reaper as well. Vol has swapped around a whole bunch as well. Super's been on the Winston. I mean, these guys have been all over the place with their picks, and that versatility has definitely kind of put them above the rest, I think, in some ways.
It really has, but Jake going to be the first to go as Sleepy finds that pick, and nice charge coming through there as Hui finds another for themselves. So a good start. Buy yourselves a little bit of time. Every second counts here for, on the side of Tempo Storm, as I read Hammers because the names are switched up once again here. But I don't know. This is still, even though you come, I mean, a single team fight. This could come down to overtime, Heroics, and then one team fight goes to hammers, and that's it. I mean, so these next 3 minutes could be irrelevant for that matter for Tempo Storm.
It's like Vol making that swap over to Zarya. They want to get that wipe going. 250 on the clock to work with here as they're sliding out towards that server room, and a nice fire strike coming out from JKW to put himself at about 70% ult charge as they're getting the high ground, stealing it away from them, and we're seeing basically a swap of positions here.
Rob ready to go with the nano boost. Sleepy not so ready. They're just going to go ahead and amp it up. Back Dreamcasper in a rough situation. He's going to be taken down. Just got caught out, and you can't have that happening right now. Sleep dart from Sleepy not going to connect onto Jake. Jake dangerously get low and in a terrible position as he was hit with the bottom grenade. There's the nano boost coming out onto JKW. Can he turn this one back around for his team? Actually, it just came out onto him. It looked like he had it before. No, a little bit of a graphical bug on my screen there, apparently. But nonetheless, Heroics, 2 minutes on the clock, and this fight is still all over the place here.
Dreamcasper going to get eliminated once again here. We do see a nice Earthshatter come out, but JKW should be going down pretty soon as Jake has found a kill for himself, and the pressure on the front line is just not enough to eliminate JKW quite yet, but Train finds the kill, and they're pushing it forward. Spo is off the point. The only person left to contest is Hui. They're going to lock this one in,
That's
Storm.
it, man. That was Jake with the whole hog onto Spo up in the corner. Hammers Esports take the 3-0 over Tempo Storm here. Go undefeated on the day, and they're going to be taking first place here in the Haste Finals. What a terrific performance from these guys. Taking home $450. Tempo Storm will be grabbing $150 here, as the top two did get in the money, but gotta hand it to Tempo as well. That was definitely not what I expected from them going into the tournament today. To be honest, I don't know what I expected from them, and they showed how well they can really play here.
Really great stuff across the board. Super, of course, coming up big. I mean, honestly, everybody that participated in this final here has a lot to be proud of. Everybody performed very, very admirably, and honestly, it's just Hammers Esports who have really kind of stepped up in a big way as of late, especially in the new year. I think is going to be a great year for Hammers Esports to push forward, and really, really, really good stuff for them all across the board for both teams for sure.
I mean, Hammers Esports pushing forward, certainly. I mean, we've seen what they can do. We've seen them, you know, I mean, they're not a one-trick pony, obviously, now that we saw them up against Tempo Storm. And, you know, you could say Tempo Storm, you know, they're a new roster. Of course they're going to beat them. But look at who's on Tempo Storm. I mean, that is a solid roster who has a lot of potential, taking down I don't want to say well-oiled Gale Force team because they were missing some key components today on their team, but still took them down 2-0. Right? They still had really good players on Gale Force's side. Took down CLG rather close regardless, but Tempo Storm, I think that they're, despite dropping 0-3, no matter how bad that score looks, I think that they are the real deal regardless. And come a month or two with some practice, I think that they could very well, you know, give Hammers Esports as well a run for their money in a best of 5 or best of 3 series. But that being said, Hammers Esports coming away undefeated on the day, grabbing the first place. Any last thoughts on that match before we head out of here?
Well, I definitely want to say hats off to Hammers. We've been watching Hammers not only as Hammers, but also with them being Bird Noises for quite a long time. Remember casting them way back in October when they were just kind of getting started and making a name for themselves. So it's really cool to see them get to this point where now they have been able to solidify themselves as a really, really top team in the North American region here, taking on some of the best and going lossless on the day. So congratulations to them. Definitely hats off to you guys, as well as congratulations to Tempo Storm to make it this far. And thanks to all the teams coming out as well, because I mean, we had fantastic games all day, and I can't thank you guys enough for that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to see these teams once again, as we get to cast quite a few of them quite often, to be honest here. So, you know, congrats to the teams. Thanks for coming out today for those guys. As always, guys, a few things before we wrap this up. Big shout out to Haste. Haste, I believe, provided the entirety of the prize pool. Not only today $600, but there were 4 qualifiers over January to which these teams qualified for this event that I think was like $550 each, something like that. So over a $3,000 total prize pool from Haste. So be sure to check Haste. I think it's haste.net. I'm not exactly sure what the fill is on that, but haste.net, they do stuff regarding to ping loss, or excuse me, high ping, packet loss, etc. So be sure to check them out because they this tournament would not have been put on without them. So big shout out to those guys, and of course shout out to the guys over at Overguard for helping run this. I definitely would not have been able to cast with Hurix if I had to run it. So big shout out to Overguard. They run a lot of console-based Overwatch tournaments here on their channel, so give them a follow on Twitch. As always, give myself, if you guys want to, myself and Hurix a follow over on Twitter. I'm at Game of Storm. He's at CT Hurix. We see these teams, not all of them, but a lot of them, quite often, almost every single week, as we do Overwatch stuff every single Monday night, along with other nights of the week as well. So be sure to toss us a follow. Any last things from you, man?
Yeah, definitely make sure you guys follow us over on Twitter. That's a big thing to help us out so that we can keep giving you guys some cool Overwatch content. Really love doing this stuff. Had a lot of fun today, and hope to see you guys back pretty soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Like Hurix said, I'm not sure when the next Haste tournament will be, but they are definitely going to be running some stuff in the future with these kinds of turnouts. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Have a good night.
Take me away from home. Show me all the places I've never known. And we'll chase the night. Race all of these broken dreams in flight. And we'll fly.